welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion, and I am Peter. And joining me on the other side of the microphone, I don't think he has a Rembrandt, but it's Watch Party. How you doing, sir?
I am good. No, I don't have a Rembrandt. That's why I can't quite retire yet.
Not quite yet. I think I might, let's not talk about that now. But in the event you return for the season six stuff, I think I want to start doing that. Kind of adding a little, a little nod to something that happened in the episode,
In
just
the
for
episode.
funsies.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little vanilla when I introduce you, so I want to kind of, spice it up a little bit, I guess. But how
Yeah.
you doing, sir?
I am as good as ever. I'm actually on the road, but we're was totally ready to record at a moment's notice for when it came up. So I'm happy to be
Yes,
here.
you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, yeah, absolutely, you were. I'm happy that you were available. I too was on the road, on the plane. I was on the plane for a couple days. For those that follow me on social media, I did post a picture that I was able to meet up with Aiden Minks, aka Mitch, and his parents in Vegas for a little bit.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was cool. You were in Vegas. Did you get
Yeah.
obliterated?
I maybe my stomach did, from all the food. My
Ooh,
wife,
yeah.
yeah, the missus and I, we celebrated our 21st anniversary, and
Wow.
I think a lot of people kept on looking at us as like, how's that possible? But like, I mean, I just celebrated my 40th. I think that happened after the last recording as well.
Hmm.
That sounds right, yeah. So, um, yeah, funny little thing, and we'll move it along. But at our first dinner, we were brought a dessert, and it said "Happy 10th anniversary," and a dessert for us to share. And we both looked at each other like, "Did you say anything?" And we're both like, no. Well, they knew that we were there for our anniversary because we had like a little greetings thing at our table for that. And we just continued eating it, no big deal. Then our server came, like, I'm so sorry, this was actually for somebody else. And we're like, oh, well, that makes sense because of the 10th anniversary. And they're like, well, at least like it's the same dessert, so no big deal. And they didn't take it away because we were
You'd already
already eating
eaten
it. It's the same
it.
thing. And we're like, well, what did it say on theirs? And they said, oh, it just said happy anniversary. So there was no year or anything. So no harm done. So for us, we're just like, we'll take it. 10th anniversary. Look, it's about right. 12 years married, so that's close enough.
There you go.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Anything else since we last recorded? I know Blue Beetle. I believe
Blue
the
Beetle
trailer.
dropped the trailer. Yeah.
That's right. What are your thoughts on that trailer?
I had to set me up for this. Like Blue Beetle's a character I know nothing about. Like I had never even heard of him until the day Sholo was announced. That was when I first learned him. So I went into that trailer knowing nothing.
Right.
It definitely felt like there's some really cool moments in there. Very there's some moments. The first time I actually watched, it, I was like, "Oh, it's Miguel." Like there's some moments where it's just Sholo. He just comes off like the way he does, and it like where he's going, "No, no, 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 no," and it's like it felt like Miguel so much in there. As far as like the superhero Blue Beetle, he feels like much like a conglomerate of a lot. Like there's moments that, like reminds you of what Superman, Iron Man, Green Lantern, like Spider Man. Like he just feels like a combination of all of those. So that was definitely my first take on that.
Yeah, and the examples you just gave were also all DC, so that's
Mm.
actually kind of fitting. I like to give a shout out
Except Iron
to.
Man.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. I just heard the Green Lantern and
Yeah,
Superman.
yeah. Mhm.
A shout out to Jose Bermudez, who did a little write up, review, and analysis on that trailer for Blue Beetle. So that's on the website if you guys want to check that out, CobraKaiCompanion.com. Um, this is actually probably a good time as any to also make the announcement that because we're kind of wrapping up our season five review with this episode 510, after this, I'm going to start migrating some content from the current website to the new website, which is live but has nothing on it. And that will be companionnetwork.com, and companion still spelled with a K. So this is just a way to expand the brand. I will also be moving Sarah's. written reviews of School Spirits. That's the Paint and List show on Paramount Plus. She wrote a few of those. I will be moving those over to the site as well. We've discussed it and hoping at some point maybe I'll be able to catch up and maybe her and I will kind of do like a oneer where we just talk about the entire season. No word of a renewal at this point. So let's see, anything else? But yeah, if you guys are curious about that Blue Beetle trailer, definitely check out the article written by Jose. He really broke it down. It appears that he knows his character more than me for sure, and I also reached out to him just because representation matters, especially to me, and I'm not Latinx, and so I reached out to Jose, who was more than happy to write one up. So I really enjoyed reading his insight and his breakdown and his just
Resonance,
his knowledge
knowledge.
of the
Ah, okay.
character. I feel there's a better word than that I was trying to fish for, but
Expertise.
his expertise, yeah. So he didn't claim to be an expert, but the words he was using, it appeared that he knew the characters that he was talking about, and things of that nature. He's not just like, oh, here Sholo is doing this. He's explaining
Hmm.
what is actually going on in these trailers from what he understands from the comic books.
Hmm.
So somebody that is a little bit of a SME, a subject matter expert, just based off of the writing, I was very impressed with it. So thanks again, Jose, and thank you, Sarah, for reviewing School Spirits. I know she had a lot of a good time watching that. So, okay, anything else you could think of? We are approaching May, and we understand from a previous Comic Con in Atlanta where Ralph, dropped a little nugget that they'll be recording or filming in May rather. And I know, shout out to Carrie, one of our mutual listeners slash viewers, he had kind of tweeted out that, hey, May's almost here kind of thing. And
Hmm.
I quote tweeted him and saying, well, not only that, you got to imagine that the cushion between now and May, that cast and crew probably going to start flying out to Atlanta where they film. We may even start seeing some reunions of cast and crew, obviously non-spoiler stuff. And just crossing our fingers that there won't be any leaks because I felt they did a really good job with season 5, at
A
least in
little too
comparison.
good. As someone who likes to make content off leaks, guys, if you're listening, it's okay. Leak a little. It's fine. It's,
Just a little bit.
it's
Our
fine.
emails.
A little
Yeah,
leak is okay. Come on, guys.
that's right. So I think that's definitely it at this point.
Someone had some babies. Someone
Yes, a
in the
couple.
Miyagi-verse. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
why don't you talk about that?
Hillary Swank, I guess we knew she was pregnant. Obviously, the due date, I forget when it was due, but she did post recently on Instagram a picture of her with her twins. I guess they looked great. It was a beautiful shot. So obviously, someone very directly connected to the Miyagi verse and heavily rumored to be in season 6. We'll see what happens, but definitely there were a lot of people out there that kept saying, well, she can't be in season 6, she's pregnant. It's like, well, usually women who are pregnant give birth and then they're not pregnant anymore. That's normally how it goes. And so
Science.
yeah,
Imagine
yes.
that.
So definitely she had the kids, they look great. So definitely she's free. We'll see what happens, but that's definitely important news for maybe Cobra Kai.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot. I also kind of reshared an old edit that I made with Julie Pierce in the backyard standing next to Daniel LaRusso. I
Yeah.
believe the majority of my comments, I don't know if it was split down the middle. I think they were more on the no side. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of no's. There are a lot of no's. I get that too on YouTube.
and I understand, like I know one person even, kind of poo-pooed on the next Karate Kid, and I said, I kind of questioned. I was like, oh, you don't trust the writers, because I mean, I know everyone loves them some Terry Silver, but
Hmm.
I
As we'll
think
discuss in this recap, by the way.
absolutely we will. So okay, I guess we'll just kind of leave it at that.
Hmm.
But good news to Hilary Swank and babies. So
Yeah. Hmm.
who knows? Maybe we'll see them in season 6. So as always, provided by Amy, she wrote the synopsis for this episode, which is titled Head of the Snake. And she did preface it by saying that this is a long one, and if I wanted to, I can cut it. But I ask her to do this, and she can always say no. But the fact that she does do it, I'm not going to short her on on her hard work. So all right. She starts off. The bulk of this finale is just fighting, non-stop fighting. Mike fucking Barnes wants to fight Daniel, Mike, and Johnny, and Chosen go off to fight Terry. Johnny fights all the senseis. The kids all fight each other. Stingray fights his way through some Cobra Kais. Sensei Kim fights Tori and Sam. Some rednecks try to fight Daniel, and Daniel, Terry finally square off. It's just well choreographed chaos. And on top of that, if there was ever any worry that Kreese had turned a corner, he's still out there unnecessarily faking his own death. Mike is understandably angry with Daniel, who he blames for everything. Daniel quickly talks him down from wanting to kill him, but Mike converts Chosen and Johnny over to his side almost as quickly, and that trio heads off to finish Terry. But Terry sees him coming and is not only ready, but happily unafraid to die, and pretty excited to try to kill Chosen. Sean Kanan was busy that day, so Mike is knocked out and dragged off screen, leaving Johnny to single-handedly fight all those new senseis. They nearly end him before he's reminded that he has a lot to live for these days. Um, any truth to that watch party? Is that more of a joke, or we know that he was busy and was unable to be in, more than the couple episodes that he was in.
I do think yeah, Sean Kanan's shooting schedule probably at least played into it because you interviewed him. He said he was only available for like a day, right? Like
I can't forget the details. That
I
was,
think it was
yeah.
like it was like a day. They shot the fight, the stuff at the house, and then they went and shot the stuff in the limo. And that was the day. Like so, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because he was like shooting two movies back to back or something, and he had like a day for this episode. Like so,
Got it. Okay. She continues. Miyagi, Fang plus Tori head over to the new Cobra Kai to find security footage proving that Terry is the one that nearly killed Stingray. That footage is mostly missing, but they can still prove Terry fixed the tournament. All the various other Cobra Kais got the message to assemble for this season's brawl, and Penis Breath proves he has the single worst timing on Earth by jumping ship and revealing that he is now on the other side. Everybody fights everybody, and the main goal is to keep the Cobras away long enough for them to download the security footage and for that protect the egg lesson to pay off. Chosen would be proud if he wasn't bleeding out in a pool of water at Terry's place. Daniel, who was left behind when the three idiots went to ambush Terry Silver, nearly gets in a fight with random rednecks on the side of the road before being rescued by Carmen, Amanda, and Stingray. And there's nothing about this scene that isn't ridiculous. But Stingray is ready to make things right and still willing to fight children. Also willing to fight children is Sensei Kim, who is pretty much done with all of these people even before Terry disappoints her for the last time. With everyone but Johnny, Mike and Chosen accounted for, the fight at Cobra Kai comes to a screeching halt when security footage of Terry confessing to buying off the ref starts playing on a monitor above them. Terry is a little skeptical about anyone being shocked by this, and he's not wrong. The attempted murder of Stingray would be far more damaging, but the kids are embarrassed and betrayed, and if the footage wasn't bad enough, they then have to watch their new sensei get destroyed by Daniel LaRusso. They dramatically denounce their dojo by tossing their fancy gear on the floor and leaving to talk to the cops outside about how they never trusted any of this. In the parking lot, Daniel and Johnny reunite. Johnny and Carmen are pretty happy to see each other. Sam and Miguel are a thing again. Everyone is happy that Chosen is not actually dead, and Mike Barnes is the new owner of some priceless stolen art that he's going to need to find a fence for fast. Detective Exposition, the chattiest police officer in the entire valley, fills them all in on the latest Kreese news and assures them that Terry is going away for a long time. And Snake, thank you for that, Amy. She hit all the points, and I thought it was also important that I read that because sometimes she'll touch on something that maybe I kind of gloss over or just completely miss or whatever, and at least it had been mentioned.
it's
So
true.
that's it. So yeah, thanks again, Amy. Okay, so watch party first impressions on this episode.
Straight, I think this is the best episode 10 of the series so far. Uh,
Okay, I agree with that.
yeah. This is whatever you think of season five. There's mixed opinions, but like I think most people would agree. Like it definitely ends super strong. This is just it's the best ending. It does as we'll talk about as we go along. It feels like wow, this could have been a series finale if they were going that way. Obviously they didn't, thankfully, but it really has that feeling, and it's just so strong. It wraps things up. Has some of the best fights and most epic fights and the sort of stuff you cheer at. Really, just it's a, what's the adrenaline rush start to finish.
Oh,
High,
absolutely. Yeah.
high, high octane adrenaline
Yes.
rush start to finish.
High octane indeed. Very tense, intense. All of the
Mhm.
words. A lot of one-liners.
Yeah, some
If
good comedy moments in
yeah.
there. As I was rewatching for this, I was just like laughing and enjoying some parts. As we'll get to with Stingray and such.
Of course, a lot of
You're already. I
yeah.
just mentioned it in here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just think about some of the things that he did, the
Mhm.
crawl up the stairs and all that.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
If there were commercials, this would have been like a 1 hour sequel movie to The Karate Kid Part 3,
Hmm.
right? Like this is kind of what I teased in my non-spoiler review prior to season five coming out,
Hmm.
that this was the best Karate Kid sequel. Tongue in cheek, because you did put me on the spot. Like, well, I thought part two was your favorite movie, and so I just felt like this was a great continuation in that Karate Kid saga. So, yeah, and I can't wait to get into some of our bonus episodes just to kind of see like what kind of quote unquote outside of the box topics we can come up with. Like,
Top
I
five episode tens. There you go.
that
That could be
no,
one of them.
absolutely that could be in line with that. Like
Hmm.
top five cliffhangers from all five
Mm,
seasons.
yeah.
For example, 110. I mean, trying to I wasn't trying to include an episode 10, but what about I guess 505, right? That's a bit of a cliffhanger, even though it doesn't continue on exactly from the moments of 505 into 506.
Yeah.
So not a great example, but I think
210
people,
when Miguel falls and everything. I mean, that's a
yeah,
cliffhanger.
yeah, another episode 10. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll figure it out, but we're not going to be like too basic with some of the topics,
Hmm.
because I wanted to be able to spark conversations,
Hmm.
because one of the ones that I'm definitely chomping at the bit for is top five trailer moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Boy.
really looking forward to that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our final season five episode review. This was written by Bob Dearden, who
Hmm.
we've had on the show before, and directed by Joel Novoa. And I just had an interview with him as well, titled "Head of the
Very good
Snake."
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I think I didn't ask him how long do I have with him, so we just went, and I feel he kept on looking off to the side as if like somebody's saying, "Hey, like you need to wrap it up." So I felt really bad about that. Um, all right, so we open up with Kreese in a therapy session with Dr. Folsom. Kreese's dialogue is very much sounds like he's come to terms with spending the rest of his life in prison
Hmm.
there, which also the needle drop here at this moment is Frank Sinatra's My Way, which if you look it up, there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there as well. Represents the quintessentially American outlook that nothing in life matters more than living on your own terms. So the funny thing is, this song was very familiar to me when I first saw this episode. I could not, I couldn't pinpoint Frank Sinatra nor My Way, though upon hearing it, it sounded very familiar.
Hmm.
And doing
Yeah.
just,
Me too. Same way.
but did you know the song My Way though?
I know I'm kind of bad with music. Both like some song titles, the singer and such. It's not my strong, but like I'll recognize a song, and it's like it has that feel of familiarity. So
Yes.
definitely, that's what I was feeling through it.
100%. But
Hmm.
in my research, I found out that the music is set to a French song called "Comme des Aptitudes." Took a little French in high school. My dad spent a lot of time in France himself. So he's fluent in French and he listened to a lot of French music. This was one of them, the original version of My Way, so to
Hmm.
speak, because Paul Anka rewrote the song in English. So he didn't like translate the original music. It's just the same melody, right? From
Hmm.
the original French song. So I was familiar with the French version. So that was crazy because that took me back to I don't remember how old I was, but it was definitely before I was able to watch MTV, MTV and all the shenanigans that was going on there when we actually had music videos. So anyway, also feel free to jump in at any point. Okay, don't wait for like for me to stop because this is I took a lot of notes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. He talks about having made a lot of mistakes in life.
Hmm.
He's learned some hard lessons, and he points out that his best student Johnny told him everything he's worked for, and his memory will be erased. Now, the crying I'd like to get your thought here. Kreese kind of breaks down for a moment and cries. Is that an act?
Um, I think it is. I think it is. As you know, we'll say I think he's putting it together in his mind. The key line is actually that I think is almost like foreshadowing looking back on it when Folsom, the doctor, says, use your remaining time to write an ending you can be proud of. And I feel like that like triggers the old Crease, you know, like that's what's bringing him back. You know, he's going to use his remaining time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is, yeah, I think it's an act.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I think a little bit of me believes that maybe it wasn't necessarily intentional, but he does break when he says he was like a son to me, but now I've lost him for good. Talking about Johnny too. So I think the idea of Johnny no longer in his life, I think that added to, like it gave it some emotional weight for it. So
Okay, and so and she comes to him and is kneeling at him, and then
right.
later, as we'll get to in the flashback to the scene, that's when he's grabbing her key pass, right? Is actually at that moment essentially when he was crying, and then she comes to comfort him, and she leans in close.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Um, let's see. We also see over the voiceover, he's sitting in the, I guess, cafeteria, and he stops an altercation between Gabriel and an inmate. The funny thing is, I was kind of just taking everything in, and everything was happening way too quickly for me to process everything. But the
Mm-hmm.
thought in my head was, what the hell, even like, in, what's the word? Not inspired. Well, what initiated this? Like, well, what even happened, right, for them to
Right.
escalate this
This fight.
quickly? So that idea did cross my mind, and if I thought about it more, I probably could have came to the like realization, like, oh, this is staged, right? Like,
Right.
maybe question it myself, but
Mm-hmm.
I do question the correctional officer who comes to check his pulse. Do you think he's in on it?
Um, I
Because
don't. I think he just isn't very
poor job,
competent. Yeah,
poor
he's
job.
just
I
he would have been a
mean,
regular police officer if he were better at what he does. I don't
but
know.
yeah, but also I feel law enforcement, they're taught like these basic like uh like skills, right? Just you want to be able to call for backup. You want to prioritize, like, by feeling the pulse, like, okay, this person is still breathing for sure. Check the
I don't.
wrist, check the neck.
Is he specifically law enforcement, or is he like you said, jail correctional officer? Is that
Yeah.
a specific difference or different line of training that went? So
That's almost
yeah,
like, just kind of like, I don't want to say basic first aid, but still, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to perform the Heimlich maneuver. I mean, you're watching prisoners in a cafeteria, so if somebody starts choking, you got to be able to perform the Heimlich maneuver.
you know what I'll
So,
say. You know what I'll say. Let's give it to Crease that like he can slow his pulse down
okay.
enough that he can
uh,
fool
special
someone.
forces, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It all comes back to that.
Okay.
He has special forces training. So
Okay.
um Yeah, and yeah, I agree. Like it went really fast, but that's how like I knew the first time I watched it in the back of my head. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that's not the death of Crease. We didn't go, 3 movies and 5 seasons, to get to this point where he just kind of dies right at the beginning of the episode with nothing happening. Like you said, there's no explanation even for the fight or something. It just kind of happens like it was so fast. I knew it was clicking in my head like something that's not it. That's not it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know the full plan, of course, but like I was like, no, that's not it.
I was thinking that there might be some like Tarantino-esque type editing, where we'll
Mhm.
come back and then kind of get filled in the gaps, like we just went straight to the ending kind of thing, and we're gonna play backwards or something like that. So it was for me just way too shocking to kind of process everything. I was just if anybody like heard Brianna's live reaction, she did a live stream of the entire 10 episodes,
Mhm.
and woof, like it gave me chills like listening to her reacting, like because I knew what was going on.
Mhm.
And so yeah, just bone chilling how she reacted to that. She was I believe she was actually screaming for Marty than she actually was for Kreese. So
Yeah.
yeah, and boy was she pissed at the reveal at the end. So we cut to Reggie Stretch Hummer, comes to an abrupt stop, and we find out it was Mike Barnes who had Sensei napped our 4 heroes. Now, one thing I didn't say at the top of the show when I asked for initial thoughts, one of the other things I really liked about this episode, and got a bit of a validation speaking with Joel, is that there's a lot of Back to the Future references, and a lot of
Mhm.
it come in this first 15 minutes here. So yeah, we'll probably make a video out of that. Maybe not like a big one, but maybe something just to share like on Instagram and stuff like that. Um, but let's see. So Barnes blames Daniel for everything. Chosen tries to help, but doesn't exactly answer whose fault it is. Do you think there's a reason for that? Because he goes, it's not his, it's not all his fault or something like that. But
Um,
because Barnes does ask, like, well, whose fault is it? And I think this is where like Daniel kind of adds to it.
no, as far as like chosen not like going in, I think it's just the dynamics of the scene. Like,
Okay.
he was after Daniel and like chosen who recognizes him is just saying maybe it's not his fault and there's not too much more going on than that.
Okay. Let's see. Johnny tosses a can and misses. Get your damn hands off. Uh,
And
clearly, uh,
hits Daniel with it, which is
you know,
great.
I mean, when you see
Even
three,
when Johnny tries to protect Daniel, he manages to hit him.
well, to be fair, he probably sees like two Daniels and two Mikes, and you
Yeah.
got to try to hit one of them. At least, hitting one of them will definitely stop something. But yeah, very hilarious. And now Barnes tackles Johnny. No, there's actually no hand to hand like we saw Barnes versus Chosen. Why do you think that is?
um, no, doesn't Johnny fight him or is it just a
He,
tackle?
I believe he attempts to, but it's pretty much a tackle. If I'm
Oh,
not mistaken at this
oh,
point.
but yeah, okay, yeah, but he does like get up. That's what happens because Johnny has like a cool move where he kicks from the ground. So like Johnny charges him and he tackles him, and then he has like that cool move where he kicks from the ground. That's like my favorite Johnny move, actually.
It's
Um,
a pretty good move, and it
yeah.
kind of sucks that it's like at nighttime. I wish
Mhm.
we could have like seen it a little bit more lighter, brighter, more lit. I guess.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
that's what the kids are
because
saying nowadays. It's lit.
it's lit.
We're so cool. Um, let's see. Chosen tries to help. Okay. Ah, so this is where Daniel introduces Mike Barnes to Johnny and Chosen as bad boy of karate, and a callback to episode 20. No, I'm sorry,
Three,
502,
three,
3, right?
three.
The
Yeah,
introduction of Mike Barnes, right?
yeah, right.
It doesn't look so bad to me.
Right.
So
I feel like they missed a line. I would have loved if Chosen was like, I said the same thing.
right, yeah, or a
like,
look, like just
yeah.
just yeah, but
Did you
yeah, it
expect Mike Barnes here?
no. No,
Yeah.
not at all. Because kind of like what they did with Kreese, right? They didn't want to give us too much of him early on. They wanted,
Right.
like, I forget whose interview it was, but I remember Hayden specifically saying they wanted us to forget about Kreese for a moment.
Hmm.
And I feel, same thing with Mike Barnes here. Like, you got to forget about him, and then
They
when we bring him back, it's going to be like really impactful.
Yeah, that's for sure. In fact, I kept going through season 5 thinking Barnes would be back. Where is he? That can't be it. There's got to be more. There's got to be more. And eventually, like, I was getting frustrated. I just like gave up on it. And then
Forgot him.
he
Yeah.
showed up here. Like, and it's like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that twist. So,
Yeah. And see, and this is another great example of like um, when Mike Barnes pulls Daniel out of the vehicle, it's very much like when Biff pulls Marty out of the vehicle in the first Back to the Future.
mhm,
And since I was a toddler when that movie came out, this very moment gave me that organic, like, oh, who the fuck is it? Like, oh
mhm,
damn, it's Mike Barnes. Like, I forgot about him. And I feel that's how people must have felt when they watched Back to the Future in the theater for the very first time. They're like, oh, here's the thing George and Marty been kind of rehearsing, right? And no, it's Biff. Like, because we kind of forgot about Biff or didn't see him arrive at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance yet. So it was a really welcome surprise for sure. Uh, Kicked your ass. So my notes. It's not all over the place. It's just so many of it. Um, Borrowed. Okay, doesn't look so bad. Now the furniture store was leveraged to the hilt, so that means that they borrowed money to get that furniture store, right? To buy it from her dad or inherit it.
um, yeah, they borrowed against it maybe to expand. I don't know what for merchandise. Who knows?
Love the expression, but like
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, okay, wait, so now he's in debt because if it was leveraged to the hilt, that means they.
yeah. So presumably, whatever they got from the insurance didn't cover what they owed. So that would be the economic finance version of what he says.
Right, yeah, and I mean, and that's going to pay off later on. So, just setting it up. Now, Daniel promises to make him whole again and says that it's Silver's fault. And Mike Barnes counters that he's never faced any consequences, and what he does see is four consequences. I think that's a pretty cool line, and I know like a lot of us have been using it in social media, but I feel like it could be bigger. It should be bigger,
Like bigger
maybe.
how, like in how he delivers it, like
No,
just the way
maybe
it's shot or something.
no, like within the fandom. Like I thought it would
Oh,
be I thought it would be more popular. Like I made like a graphic of them, like kind of like the four seasons.
are the
The
four
four,
consequences.
yeah, the four consequences. I put them in like suits and whatnot. Like something like that. It kind of came and went. Like it's not like lingering, and we're not
Yeah,
referencing it
I'll tell you
very
why.
often.
I have
Why?
an answer. The
Okay,
why is because Daniel doesn't go along. So it ended
okay,
up only
that's
being
fair.
three
Three
consequences. So like
consequences.
if you paid off on it in the show, um, or at least more directly, then it probably would have worked better. I mean, we could argue it still works because Daniel fights Silver in the end, but I just feel like it's like a cool line that doesn't have the follow through.
Oh, you're
And
you're absolutely right because there's, I mean, this is the closest we get to the actual four consequences
right,
right here in the
mhm,
forest, a la Avengers.
right,
Okay,
exactly.
this is the best we got. Now, if yeah, you're right, Daniel being left out there by his lonesome. Yeah, we don't quite get all the way there. Okay,
Mhm.
I like that. Um,
A total
yeah,
shift. I was saying like how episode 9 ended with that cliffhanger. You're looking at cliffhangers, right?
yes.
And so it really the suspense and like the whole shit and oh my god. Once like Michael Barnes shows up and then Johnny starts his little fight with him and everything, like it shifts from that suspense, like freak out to like hell yeah, this is fun. Like let's
Oh
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and more to come here in this very sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's makes some pretty good points and gets Johnny and Chosen on board to go cut head of Snake. And Chosen does a Miyagi laugh here. A lot of people picked up on that as well. Johnny thinks that this is a good idea. He tells Daniel that Terry, kicked your ass, kicked my ass. and then he corrects himself. Sucker kicked in my case, and
Oh,
says
that.
it's time for a payback. Yeah, so I do like that as well. Maybe a slight foreshadow to what's to come in season 6. Maybe they need an actual mano a mano. Who knows? Um, and we get the classic line that Chosen knows Silver's address. So,
Mhm.
and Chosen reminds Daniel it's 4 against 1, so Silver's outnumbered. What can go wrong? Basically, Daniel reminds Johnny they're drunk and Barnes is high, which is a bad idea. Johnny agrees and adds that's why Silver will never see it coming. And the hell yeah moment is right here where Johnny says it's happening. LaRusso saddle up and slaps him in the ass.
Yeah.
So a shout out to Amy because I did not catch that I don't know how many times I've seen it at that point until she tweeted that out. I think it was a GIF actually. So that's a
That's just something I would wonder if that was scripted or just like Billy in the moment.
it could go either way. I
Yeah.
mean, they know their characters so well at this point.
Mhm.
They know what the fans want. Same thing with the writers. So even if it wasn't, I bet you somebody, it was, yeah. It'd be nice to know who gets the credit for coming up with that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I
Mhm.
mean, it's nice to not know either, but it's just it was nice to see.
Mhm.
But what I was gonna say is kind of getting the screeners like at that time I think I was away on a family trip off on the coast, so I only got to watch it on my phone. So when I'm doing that, there's obviously things that you miss because it's a much smaller screen. So
Right.
yeah, just these little nice details. Okay, so at this point, I wrote down he's looked up what Pandora box is because he used it correctly. So he did some goggling. Again, called back to episode 506, right? Where
No, 5, right? Because
oh
that's
right,
when,
because
yeah,
he
yeah.
before that was before he goes to see
It's when Daniel goes to Johnny's apartment.
before
Johnny had
Stingray,
the
right?
yeah, and Johnny had
Miguel
the
the epiphany,
yeah,
or
the
gave him the idea.
right, and the apartment was set up as a western and whatever, and like that was that whole
Yeah, guns
conversation
too.
there. Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Okay. Mike is driving. Chosen is possibly riding shotgun, since he knows the address. And Billy with some great drunk acting here. He tries to grab the door behind him without looking. So he always he always does really great at
Yeah.
the drunk acting here. Where we cut to Reseda Flats and we find out from Dimitri that he was contacted to bring all of his gear and that it was an emergency. Miguel adds that Sam did the contacting, so no one really knows what's up. And Robbie was probably told by Tori because he mentioned something like, at least she's talking to you or something like that. She won't even answer him.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I don't. I suppose. Yeah. I suppose Sam sent messages to everyone, but then maybe Robbie tried to reach out to Tori.
Maybe he's not part of the thread that she texted. Because there's a lot of texting going on in this episode. We're gonna find out. So let's see. To everyone's surprise, Sam and Tori show up together. Robbie notices a broken hand. Now, why do you think she is lying about it? Because he just kind of goes with it. I know that he doesn't buy it either at this point.
Um, I think she
Maybe
doesn't want to deal with it right now.
right. Yeah.
And that's very much in character for Tori. Like, she just doesn't like to deal with things sometimes, especially like when she's got something else going on. So, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. They got bigger fish to fry.
mhm.
Um, Let's see. Then we get an Ocean's 11-esque explanation on how they plan to take down Silver that night. That's kind of it with this sequence. Anything else that you pick up on?
um, is just it's the first time they're all together, like not fighting, like
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it is as episode wise. This is like the the scene right at the beginning of the episode that basically lays out the plot. So this is like are this is the actual plot of this episode scenes.
Right.
So
This
are
is
they like
all, yeah,
we're
the
gonna
exposition right
break
here.
in, take down Cobra Kai? Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen.
Hmm.
We cut to Silver's home. Sensei Kim tells us that Silver promised to make her grandfather's dream a reality, which is to bring his karate to the world. And accepted into the Sekai Tekai is on the verge of fulfilling that promise. She is concerned about his frenemies, though. And while looking at a very nice painting or the fireplace, he says he'll send a message: "Stay the fuck out of our way, or someone will get hurt." When and how, don't know, but it won't be subtle.
I would you said frenemies, but she doesn't. They're not frenemies.
No, that's just what I put.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This is the way of the fists. You know, they are enemies, right? Straight
yeah,
up.
they're
They're
just
not
straight up enemies.
even the other people trying to stop you or something. No, it's they are the enemy. And notice how from the beginning, Kim Da-Eun uses that language, right? So that's very important for her, like because that is the way of the fist.
Right. Okay. Fair. Let's see. And and then I continue, and you know what else isn't subtle? The three consequences rather. Their entrance. They drive through Silver's main gate, and he says we have visitors, just like Kreese does in the first Karate Kid. Barnes volunteers to break down the door. Johnny insists that he'll do it, because he'll break his foot. It's made of solid oak. And Chosen says, "Tut, tut, tut, tut," and just opens up the door. And that is also what I do when I do my Miyagi. Tut, 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 tut. Yeah, I've done that on the Cobra Guys pod when I was a guest one time. I forgot how it came up, but I just remember that's what I did. I didn't try to, like say anything. It was more of that reaction. It's just one of my favorites. But the front door leads right into the living room. I guess I kind of never really, you know, realized that. Because it's a short walk. They go straight into the living room. Usually, I feel because
That might have
this.
been established in 502 when Chosen was there.
That's what I
Um,
was
yeah,
wondering because it's definitely a different angle. You know what? Maybe in 502 they make a right as they
right.
enter.
Well, because it's the butler or whoever meets Chosen, right, and then
Yeah,
brings him to Silver, and then they sit at the dining table. Um,
right. Okay. Um, Front door. Okay, Silver and Barnes, they get reacquainted right here, and Silver reminds them that they're trespassing, which means that they're committing a crime, and any violence against them will be justified. This is when Sensei Min Jun, which is also a name of a K-pop artist, he enters the room and apparently doesn't fight for money, but for the legacy of Master Kim. They fight, and it ends with Barnes getting hit in the head, and he's kind of pieces out
knocked
for
out. Yeah,
for a good chunk of this episode.
yeah,
The rest of the
yeah.
fist they enter ready to fight Johnny and Chosen before that sequence fades. Anything you wanted to add to that?
Well,
There's a lot of cutting back and forth.
Barnes does get it's not enough, but he does get like a iconic get up moment that he yells. Slight callback to Karate Kid 3, although obviously not as long and
Right,
drawn out.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
talk about yeah, that third movie. The ending is also very short and abrupt.
right.
So, um,
Um, it is, yeah, it's a shame he gets knocked out. I think part of it is at least Sean Kanan wasn't fully available. Um, like from your interview, I think like he was only there for like a day. He had said so. And because he was like had two movies to shoot back to back or something. So it might have I been written part of that just out of reality of his availability. I think Joel and some of the writers had also said, they wanted it to focus on Johnny, which I get that too. So
right. Um, let's see. Okay, so we cut to Amanda and Carmen. They're at the LaRusso's. They're drinking tea and reminiscing back when they used to end the day with fat, greasy slices of $2 pizzas. Now, are they talking about like double dates that we don't know about, or
I think they're
it,
talking about like
it
college
just
days,
in
youth, or
general?
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like just back in the
yeah,
day when we used to eat
right.
cheap pizzas.
Yeah, you used to
Okay,
go out and party and then eat pizza or something.
right. And they can't wait to get back to normal. And at this point, hubby-san is calling. That's Daniel calling Amanda's phone.
Mhm.
He recaps what had just happened and that he's in the middle of nowhere. As he drops her a pin of his location, a loud car pulls up in their driveway, and it's Cobra Kai. Subtle detail of grab the kids before Amanda hangs up.
Mhm. Yeah,
So that I wrote that down just because again, speaking with many of the writers, they often talk about like headspace, headspace, headspace. Like, what does this character know at this moment? Well, Daniel doesn't know that the kids aren't home, right? They snuck out. So I just, again, very subtle detail, it just in that little bit of dialogue there.
right. And here's something going back to when I first watched it, and for those who remember, there was lots of problems with spoilers. This particular season, especially, stuff was getting out,
Yeah.
stuff was getting spoiled. I was doing a very good job for the most part of avoiding everything, but like I get so much messages and comments in YouTube, people saying things as if it's spoiled, like they know, like they saw it or they saw a spoiler. And I had so many people saying, "Oh, Cobra Kai attacks the LaRusso house. The LaRusso house burns down. It's confirmed. It happens in the end." And I dismissed that because people have been saying that for like 2 years now. The LaRusso house is going to burn down,
Right.
because of misinterpretation of whenever the owner, it's a private residence, sold it in real life, the actual location. They didn't understand that it's actually a set. But anyway, that's going on, right? I'm getting these messages of people claiming to have spoilers, saying it was going to burn down. I before the season, I dismissed it. That's stupid. That's not going to happen. You guys don't know anything. And then this moment happens where she looks out the window. It's Cobra Kai, and I thought, holy shit, is this actually happening?
Right.
Like I
It's
was so like into this suspense moment right here.
Yeah,
Man.
absolutely. I did not get any of those type of spoilers, and I'm a little jealous actually because I would have liked that. I would have been like, oh fuck, here goes the house. It's gonna happen. It's
Right,
actually
like
gonna
is
happen.
it gonna happen? Oh my god! Like, and
Yeah.
then and then I'll get to the reveal, and when we get to that, so
All right. And for those that like behind the scenes stuff, again, Joel's interview, he talks about a little movie magic on how they recreated these the lights of the vehicle there because that was on set. So um, okay, so our lead Miyagi Fang teens arrive at the Cobra Kai flagship dojo. Robbie talks about being able to bypass it if it's the same system. That's why he was recruited by Trey and Cruz, I'm assuming, because those guys are idiots. Means Silver also changed the alarm system after taking over. Um, but it's okay because Tori has her card, which I feel they probably would have deactivated it. Hold on.
no,
I'm trying
she's
to.
still in the dojo. She
That's
she
right. That's not until
passed the
later.
test, right? Like, so she
Right.
broke that brick, right? The stone dummy.
Right,
Um,
right.
and they even complimented her and said so at that moment, yeah, she's still
That's
in
right. Yeah, because Terry says like he hopes that she continues to keep making
the
the right
right
decisions.
decisions. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. See, that's why you're here to keep me on my P's and Q's here. All right. The rest of Miyagi Fang show up, including Nate, who questions what's Tori doing there.
Mhm.
Sam tells them it's fine and that she's with them. The main team will go to Silver's office, and the rest will be lookout downstairs.
Poor Nate. I think Mitch is right behind him when he looks at Tori,
He
or
does.
to his side. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The binary brothers start hacking away. Robbie rips down the camera. They all get a little excited that they're finally gonna take down Silver, unbeknownst to them, that they're being recorded by another camera embedded in the wall behind Terry's desk. Now, I know the answer to this question I'm about to ask you, but why does Silver not have the red light covered? For it to be more discreet. I mean, that's obviously it's for the audience to know that there's a camera there.
You got to go with the ominous. Besides, Cobra
Okay,
Kai's colors now are basically black and red, so it
it's true.
it has like a great look on it, like the snake is alive.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It should be in both eyes or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. Back to Johnny and Chosen versus the Fist. Silver and Kim are both alarmed by the monitor showing the break-in. We do see that it's nearly 1 a.m. according to the screen. Terry thinks that this is planned to be attacked on both fronts. He instructs Sensei Kim to go take care of it and that he'll join her as soon as he wraps things up there. Silver exits. Johnny takes down two senseis and tells Chosen to go after him and that he'll take care of the fist. Anything you want to add there?
Let me see. Let me look at, I'm looking through my notes. Oh yeah. The only thing is like it's not to say it's like disappointment is I wanted a full on Johnny and Chosen versus the Fist before they split up. Like that part of the fight goes kind of quick. Where Chosen breaks off, but obviously it's to keep the different fights going. But yeah, that was the kind of one because it felt so teased in episode 6. Um,
Right. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
like there and you wanted to see like that whole thing.
Right. They got stopped because,
Mhm.
only one of them who all his life learned the way of the fist was able to kind of hold his own against these two. Let's see these two versus the entire fist. But
Right.
Terry is escaping, so
Hmm.
don't let him go. So I
Yeah.
totally understand that. And
Head
let's
of the
just
snake. That's the title
yeah,
of the episode. Yeah.
that's the head of the snake. You gotta follow that ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're being honest, the outside is a much nicer set to fight in. so,
Yeah.
so that's
Well,
the
there
other
you go.
thing.
Yeah.
We cut to a gentleman who is seemingly peeing on the rear bumper of his pickup truck? Question mark. At least that's the way it looks.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
only there were some trees nearby or something. Yeah.
well, I know, like there's they're lacking in trees, but it reminded me of like that. Who's that kid? The something in Hobbs cartoon, Calvin. It
Calvin
reminded
Hobbs.
me of
Yeah.
like Calvin pissing on a Ford sign or something. It's just like, dude, it really looks like he's peeing on his own bumper. But anyway, Daniel is seen running down the road and finds this man and asks for his help. The man smells the alcohol in Daniel and suggests he walk it off. Um, Let me ask you. Okay, so we don't know that he has friends in there.
Right.
Would you have been like this with this guy too? Like Daniel's dressed nicely. He's coming off a bit of a uh,
Well, let
not
me
not
just
very
jump
nice.
in and say,
Okay.
like, this is one part where Daniel actually confuses me. Maybe he's just drunk. I don't know. Why doesn't Daniel just say, I will buy you a new truck? Like he's Daniel
Yeah,
LaRusso.
right.
Like,
You own plenty.
yeah. Like he's like, your truck is trash. I will give you a new truck for free. I am the auto king. You know?
That's a really interesting point. Like, have you not seen my commercials? Like, hey,
Yeah.
we have the best prices in town and
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I for me, I was just like, okay, well, he's dressed nice enough. It doesn't look like a bum and just looks like he can use the help. So,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't be as fun, right? So,
No, yeah, exactly.
um, Daniel
Do you
cuts through
think
the.
Daniel was ready to fight these guys? Like I keep getting, even when I rewatch it, I really do get that impression. Um,
I think he has to be ready for everything at this point. Like
mhm.
he, his, as far as he knows, well, he doesn't know. His wife hung up on him after saying that it's Cobra Kai,
Mhm.
at their own
Right.
home, and his boys have left him to go after the former CEO of Dynatox or whatever
Mhm.
the situation is with that. Maybe we'll find out in season 6, but yeah, I think at this point he's got to be ready for anything, but I do wonder how long did he say? He just said miles, right? He didn't really specify, or it was like the first car in a while
Right.
since he's been lost or whatever. So yeah, at that point you got to kind of be ready. These guys could have also robbed him. He could have been prepared for that as well. Daniel cuts through the BS and insists that the truck will take him where he needs to go one way or another. So that tells you everything you need to know there.
Yeah.
Three other guys exit, including writer Bob Dearden, who crosses his arm. And Daniel gets into a fighting position as Stingray shows up to rescue him with Amanda and Carmen in the Cobra mobile. We do get a little Terminator 2 reference here. Um, Bob Dearden grabs an empty can, according to Joel, I think was upset with him by the fact that he tosses it and doesn't go very far. And I I I don't know if it's because it was an empty can, but I do feel that Bob's release might have been a little late. If, if that's why it kind of went straight into the ground. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I guess that's why he didn't go into baseball. I don't,
Maybe not.
yeah.
Um, we're back in Silver's
Wait, hold
office.
on,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
wait.
yeah, yeah.
Stingray's entrance because I think this is so cool and like and this is where I was totally blown off where I thought like Cobra Kai was like attacking the house and then realized like I love like there's that great moment where like you connected in your head. She said Cobra Kai because obviously she saw the Cobra Kai mobile, you know, she saw that car once before, like when Johnny had it. Like maybe she doesn't recognize it. She just sees Cobra Kai and it's like, oh my God. And but like
Right.
you recognize it, it was Stingray coming to her, you know, to get them. And it's like that was like a great moment of like it all clicks together and it makes sense. Just really, really, really well done and a lot of fun. And oh, I was gonna say, I think when they get in the car and drive off, I think the music sounds like Back to the Future. That would be something to ask Zach and Leo, I guess.
Right. I believe the title is like Cobra of the Future or something. So it was probably influenced, by Alan Silvestri's score
Mm-hmm.
from the trilogy. So I do know that. Um, yeah, and the fact that Joel again used Back to the Future as
Mm-hmm.
references for some of the sequences here. Maybe there was some talk with Zach and Leo, but you're right, that would be a good question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Just maybe how they manifested that. Like, hey,
Right.
tell us about this specific track because of the title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Once you start putting things together, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And again, I was talking about headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Amanda has seen that car once, and Johnny was driving it on December 19th,
Right. Mm-hmm.
all right, in season three. So, and that was it. And so, yeah. Um, Kenny, let's see, is that right? No, back in Silver's office, Dimitri was able to find footage of the night of Stingray's beating, only to find that it had been edited down. Tori does have another date that they try. At this point, Sam is summoned downstairs, where her and Miguel head down to only find that the Cobras had just arrived. Oh, and isn't yeah, Kenny's the first to attack, and
Yeah. Kenny
because
strikes first. Yeah.
yeah, we see Anthony had just gotten kicked to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's when it cuts downstairs. Anthony's like falling.
Yeah, Devin and Kenny are not pleased to see that Tori is with them. Sam questions how did they know they were there, to which Miguel responds he doesn't know, and we get a reveal that Mitch switched sides. Yeah,
Turncoat.
I mean, it's there's no juice bar and there's no babes, no offense, Sam,
Mm-hmm.
no roof.
She gives him a look like I like she just like reacts like I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It's just kind of funny to me. But yeah, it was definitely building up and you know, he's the guy who never wanted to leave Cobra Kai to begin with. So
Now, aside from that line that he does say, does he also make the most sense? I mean, I know he just said a lot of the reasons to for us to know that, but like if you think about it, w- could there have been anybody else that would have been maybe a little bit more satisfying, or do you think Mitch is the one that makes the absolute most sense?
like if they had used a different character for this,
Yes.
um no, I think that Mitch does make the most sense because yeah, like he got kicked out when he lost his fight to Kyler, right? It was to Kyler. Um
I believe that's
back in season
right.
3.
He does, yeah, because that's when like
Mhm.
well, like Big Red. Isn't that where they were also like trying to kick the plant off the top of the log as well?
Well, that's earlier in the season.
Mm.
This is episode 6. It's right after the fight in episode 5, and they're talking about it. It begins. They're talking about like the fight in the the arcade, next to golf and stuff, and because the Cobra Kai's are talking about it. Then Kyler's there for the first time, and Kreese has Kyler fight Mitch, and so that's
Oh,
yeah, that's
right, right, right.
that's how which is incidentally, so now he comes back. I guess he's welcomed back by Kyler, who's kind of the guy who got him out. But then immediately he calls him penis breath again. And I think like there's this moment like they don't call you penis breath, and you like you understand, yeah, that makes sense. And then of course Kyler just says, "Shut up, penis
Just
breath."
shut up in his breath, yeah.
Yeah.
And just to tease it because I brought it up earlier in terms of the trailer moments, right? However you want to interpret that, like shocking moments or whatever, just trailer moments. But I remember the sight of seeing Kyler's return in that season 3 trailer. I was like, holy shit, Kyler's a Cobra Kai, what? So
Right.
I kind
Yeah.
of remember
Mhm.
having that reaction too. Um, so Kyler says there's traitors on both sides, and of course questions if they should throw down or what. So what is what? Like, no? Like, well, no, can we just finish this and then we'll fight? Like, is that acceptable? But just
Yeah.
Kyler being Kyler, I
He
guess.
just like wants to get it out. Let's go.
Yeah. Tori, she says she's not a traitor and is just not buying what Silver is selling. Robbie says Silver lied to them, to which Kenny takes exception, saying the only person who lied was Robbie. Miguel jumps in and tells Kenny he doesn't want to do this. And I like this acting from Dallas too. He kind of
Mhm.
turns around and almost like, yeah, you're right, but it's like, oh, it says he does and swings. Now,
Mhm.
this is also kind of similar to his reaction at the water park as well, when Miguel also steps in. Do you think Kenny is intimidated by Miguel?
Um, no, I don't think he knows better.
Okay.
He should be, but he's headstrong. He's arrogant.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Bit of a wild card.
right, yeah.
Okay. We cut to the Cobra Mobile. Stingray is trying to apologize to Daniel while everyone is trying to contact the kids to no avail. And I guess Stingray was added to the group text because that's why he decided to reach out. I thought this was yeah, kind of similar to a sequence in Back to the Future, but I think it was more of Terminator 2, where the T2 was after he rescues Sarah and John Connor at the hospital, they escape in the car and he turns off the lights, because he's able to see in the dark kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah,
Peak
did you have
Stingray. I think that we're getting to peak Stingray here. So
absolutely?
yeah,
Chosen enters the weapons room where he finds Silver observing the monitor. And did you catch Silver sipping that whiskey?
I did. I did. He takes like a big gulp, almost like oh,
Yeah, it's it's
but
it's the
like
way he does it too,
mhm.
But yeah, go ahead, continue.
Or
It's
yeah, and it cuts like he drinks like and I looked when he sets it down. There's still some. It's like he didn't down the whole thing, but like he seems to like swallow aggressively. I guess it's
yeah.
like
It's
uh,
it's almost as if he had just taken some medication, some pills or something, and the whiskey was to swig, to wash that down. That was my opinion. The reason I reached out to you and wanted you to kind of focus on that at that very moment, because I remember in Joel's interview, he talked about how some of the writers they had like strengths wasn't the word that he used, but he kind of pointed out like Michael is this way, when it comes to writing. Joe and the one is this way, and what he said about Bob was that he was like a characters kind of guy, right? So I
mhm,
feel that maybe that could have been scripted, or it actually could have just been Thomas, Ian Griffith, just added that little flair, while drinking that whiskey, the cognac or whatever it was, the brown water. But yeah, just knowing that Bob wrote this episode and knowing that other things have been filmed or and wasn't cut or not explained, get there kind of thing. I wonder if this was something, because nobody's talking about this. It could be nothing, but it could be something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he would down medication with whiskey or something. It's probably not the best idea,
Why not? But it'll be
but I,
fun.
yeah.
Could be fun. Okay, so Terry asks to clarify what was it that Chosen said if he crossed that line before he crossed it again and again. Uh, do you think that he was just calling Chosen's bluff? Is that why he keeps doing that, or you think that Chosen was just all talk, or do you think he thinks that Chosen was all talk by
No,
asking?
I think it's like a pre-fight trash talk.
Okay,
Like
okay,
I never respected you. You came in and you said something, but you know what? Screw you. Look what I did. Not even what I'm gonna do. Look what I have already done. I've ignored you already because you're
right,
nothing to me.
right,
So
right. So, yeah, and what was it that you said? You will beg for mercy,
mhm.
and oh, it's just a great moment. In a lot of these sequences, I only wrote down what I thought was quote unquote important and just kind of enjoyed the rest of it. So I wrote down Terry knocks Chosen down first, which disappoints him, and he thought that he'd be more of a challenge than LaRusso.
Right.
All right, we cut to a brief moment of Johnny taking on the fists. This segment is brought to you by Whiskey and White Claw, baby. I
It's a
wonder
good
how
line.
they.
It breaks up the
It's
fight, but yeah, that's the good
yeah,
line.
it's a great line, but I do wonder like how do they edit this? Is one of the editors they just decide at this point they're just going to cut this and it's going to be a few seconds and then we're going to go back to the main fight, kind of thing.
That's a good question. A lot of times fights like this do come together somewhat more in the editing room than the script page, but it depends on how it's written and everything.
Yeah.
I think Zach Arnold edited this one. He's kind of their editor, does the big episodes. He's done the finales for a couple seasons now, seasons 3, 4, and 5.
Which I got to meet him at Paley Fest, and he revealed to me that his son is a fan of Cobra Kai Companion. So
I didn't know his son was so smart.
yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
So yeah. Would love to speak to him and Spencer at some point.
Right. Mhm.
That's definitely a department I have not yet tackled. Um, let's see. We go back to Terry and Chosen had just literally hit Terry with the pressure points technique. And when you see that coming, obviously we've seen it three times now at least.
Mhm.
Well, Chosen's done it to Daniel. Daniel did it to Kreese. Daniel did it to Johnny,
Johnny.
and Chosen done it earlier this season before now?
No, I don't think
No.
so. I think
See,
this is the
so yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, when you see him tee that up, eggplant emoji, I'll tell you, because I know what's coming.
It's funny when that's one of those things too. When you introduce like these moves, like this is the Miyagi-Do move for major war or whatever, like then it's like if they don't do it, also people would be like, well, why didn't he do the pressure points? So
Right.
it's like
Yeah,
they got to
absolutely.
work it in somehow to the fight, but it works well.
It does. Let's see. Hits him with the pressure points technique. Terry grabs a katana and Chosen counters with the size. Chosen tells him he's not afraid to kill, to which Terry responds he's not afraid to die. And then we cut again to Johnny. He's holding up, but being outnumbered is taking a toll on him. Very brief. And then we cut back again. The fight between Chosen and Terry lead outside. Beautiful shot with the katana and all that stuff. I might be jumping ahead a little bit. Terry tries to say they're similar, but Chosen tells him he knows nothing about Miyagi-Do. And I love Yuji's delivery of that. Like
Mhm.
how dare you? We are not the same. You will not be mentioned in the same vein as what we do. Because um, Terry tries to compare themselves in the same as that they're both warriors.
Mhm.
Even though like Miyagi-Do is more known for defense, Chosen's really putting up a fight here, which is obviously a lot of offense.
Right. And yeah, and I think part of what specifically prompts that is Chosen does go on the attack. Like,
Right.
we've heard before, like Circle, like counter their moves or something, but Chosen is no actively attacking Terry Silver in some of this. So, and that was what prompts that exchange.
Yeah. I have one line here, more of Johnny getting his butt whooped. Just in case we were forgetting.
Mhm.
Um, and then we cut to Terry pulls a Lieutenant Dan and says that he was meant to die on the battlefield. Chosen gets distracted and Terry fillets him in the back. Doesn't quite fillet him, but I just thought it paints
Sounded
a
cool.
pretty good picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember me asking Joel about like, remove yourself from like the shoes of a director and somebody part of the show or whatever, like as a fan, who do you think won kind of thing?
Yes, you did. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, he says that he thinks Chosen, okay, like if basically a gun to his head, right? He's gonna say Chosen, but his weakness was that his Joel put it in such great words too, that yeah, in a moment of weakness here, that Chosen is kind of taken out because he hears his friend in need kind of thing. So
yeah, and that was the moment of the fight. Like, I just like didn't really love, just because I feel like I've seen that before. Like, oh, there's some off-screen sound that momentarily distracts him. Like, so that was the one part. Like, just because I feel like that's almost like a cliche
it's a trope. It's a
fight trope.
trope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There you go. Like,
I
it's just you see that so much, and for such an awesome fight with the visuals and the fighting and everything. And this is what we've been waiting for since the end of season 4, essentially. um it
and
was just like, I wanted something a little bit more unique or something different.
I can understand that absolutely. Like I remember in my non-spoiler review, I had mentioned um something like, this episode's full of movie and TV tropes, but
Mm-hmm.
they use it in a way that like, well, our characters have never really gone through these things or have done any of these tropes. So by season 5, why the hell not? You know, go all in at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uh it could have been the last season. We didn't know at that point. Most of us was pretty sure there was going to be a 6, just wasn't official kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I think I was more kind of like, yep, they did it. They killed Josen. Like I was not happy with myself.
It did seem that way, yeah.
It did, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to the teens fighting. Tori tries to explain to Devin, and she's not hearing it. Very brief there. And upstairs, we cut to Eli, who's checking in on Dimitri, and he's logging into a YouTube account. Is this the Cobra Kai account that he says YouTube account? I kind of forget. But
Yeah, it is the Cobra Kai YouTube channel. Like, that
okay,
was the plan. We're gonna post it on
right,
Cobra Kai's own YouTube channel.
right.
So I guess they had
Kyler,
password complete,
I
installed on there.
guess the authentication or whatever, like
Yeah.
they knew how to do it. Um, Kyler enters with Edwin and another Cobra. Kyler and Eli exchange words before they exchange fists. We see an encounter between Robbie and Kenny, who hits him with a silver bullet. Now, I remember in 508 when we saw him do that to Hawk. I again with all of the hatenanigans on Twitter, thinking that they're gonna kill somebody in season 5. Like if it wasn't Chosen, maybe they were gonna hurt one of the kids. So I thought it could have been Hawk in that moment
Mhm.
against Kenny with the silver bullet. And when this happened, I go, oh no, they're gonna do it to Robbie. That's why he's had such this great arc and this great season with his wholesome moments with Johnny. They're gonna kill Robbie. So I really thought that this was it for Robbie at this moment. The very first time I watched it.
I guess I never thought that. It did seem like we I've talked about, and others talked about, Hawk getting nerfed, but it did seem like Robbie got nerfed a little too. Like, what happened
Yeah,
to the Robbie hit me if you can in Cobra Kai at the beginning of
right.
season 4? And
4,
like,
yeah.
and he's getting knocked around. It's like, come on, he can
Yeah.
block that. Yeah.
Well, yes, but to reference 508 again. He told Hawk to go easy on Kenny. It's Cobra Kai. So maybe that's he's holding back with Kenny yet again.
Well, you know
Um,
what happened is he got hit by Kenny because he got hit by some other Cobras, is what happened.
yeah,
And then like he turned and wasn't ready for Kenny, who then hits him with the silver bullet.
yeah,
So that's what happened. Like it was like just some random Cobras who kind of got a hit on him first.
yeah. Do you think you can run out of ammo? The silver bullet here?
Yeah, yeah. There's only
It's,
there's
it's
only
very possible.
two bullets in the chamber, and they fired them both. So.
Yeah, you got to make sure you aim correctly. We cut to Johnny, who's spitting out blood and could only muster up enough energy to block attacks at this point. And then enters Silver, who says Chosen's outside and off the board. Terry continues
Well, hold
that,
on. That
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
moment that got me where I thought maybe he
Mm,
was gone because Hayden used that exact language.
he did.
Um, I think it was a tweet or something right before the show came out. He's like, "Who's going to be? Someone will be taken off the board," and he used that exact language. And I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, Hayden does that. And
Mhm.
I think I referenced this in one of our episodes. At some point, I remember in season 3, I forgot how the exchange went, but Hayden said something about under renovations or something like that. I think Kreese says that in season 3, I believe it was, yeah, I think in season 3. And I was like, oh, Hayden was just quoting Kreese. Like Hayden just talks in quotes, in Cobra Kai quotes is all it is. You know,
Very
um,
often, yeah.
yeah, like I won't give the details of this exchange, but he also one time says, no girls allowed, and I forgot that that's something Johnny said to Aisha. So yep. Okay, so Terry continues. Yeah, continues that Kreese says Johnny was his best student, but he never saw it.
Mhm.
Says at least he won't be around to screw up another kid, and says he has another mess to clean up at the dojo, and tells the fist to finish him. We cut back to the Cobra Kai dojo.
Wait a
Yeah,
second. Hold on. What do you think Kreese sees in Johnny that Terry doesn't? Is it just because that's almost a schism point between those two? I mean, not to mention everything, but
let's
because
see. Kreese and Silver are both only. No, they're both the only child
Mhm.
in their families. Um, those two served in the war. Johnny didn't. His dad did. Well,
Yeah. I mean, I think it may have come up more in season 6, which I guess we can talk about down the line. But yeah,
right.
it's definitely something that they've been planting the seeds. The flashback in what was it, episode 7, 6,
Four?
7?
Oh,
No,
5, season 5?
uh yeah, season 5, episode 7, when they're in the jail and Kreese is telling them how they went to Korea or something, and
Oh,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
and Kreese didn't want to join the Sekai Taikai because he wanted to focus on his students, especially his new student Johnny. So you see it was there from the beginning, and in a way it was even something between them even in that moment. And a lot of people talk about, I've been thinking about that flashback too, because a lot of people talk about that flashback as like, who is this Kreese? Why is he so thing? And like, maybe that was just him thinking about Johnny was that. And so, yeah, it's definitely something there.
There's so much because then also like why also show us young young Sensei Kim in that
Mhm.
flashback too. Like how
Right.
does
Yeah.
that tie in to Kreese's dynamic with Johnny as well?
Mhm. Mhm.
So so many questions.
Yeah.
Let's see. Downstairs. Nope. Cut back to the Cobra Kai dojo. Eli and Kyler continue to fight. Robbie gets help from Miguel. Dimitri gets in on the action and knocks Kyler out. At this point, the video has been uploaded to the Cobra Kai channel, probably the first video since the move to Netflix. Downstairs, Tori is fighting and is rudely interrupted by Sensei Kim, who was kind enough to remove her shoes before stepping on the mat, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, she takes that stuff seriously. She tells her she's disappointed in her and admits that she warned Silver about her, and they go at it.
Mhm.
At this point, the binary brothers come downstairs, and Kyler trips Eli, who loses possession of the hard drive. Luckily, it is recovered by Anthony, and Miguel calls to protect the egg. Now, let me ask you: is this the Miyagi prophecy? Anthony protecting the family? I don't
You
think
know,
this is it.
it's so amazing because I was actually thinking about that as I was watching. Is this I thought, no, it can't be, right? Like
Can't be.
it's too not much. It, years ago, Miyagi predicted you would hold an iPad amongst
Right.
a
Well,
bunch of fighting.
because it was a kick, right? Like it is the reflexes. So I think there's a fight to come for Anthony in season 6 that's going to be very pivotal
Yeah, I think so. At least in some way, he's got to have something else to
too.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's see.
Let's see. I was
Yeah.
going to say since you just mentioned it here, they're uploading to YouTube. I feel like none of these people are YouTubers. There's so many jokes they could have had. Like they just make it as like it's uploading, but like when you upload a video to YouTube, I mean, you know this, I guess, at least somewhat. Like
Yes.
you have to go through all these like processes, like
Uh,
selecting, is it appropriate for kids? Are you going to monetize
right,
it?
right.
Like,
Yes.
and then
Thumbnail, no
what
thumbnail.
bad thing? Yeah, the thumbnail. Oh my god! Like there have been times where I'm like uploading a YouTube video and like I had to like go to work and then or something and I thought, oh shit, I forgot a thumbnail. Like I'm like uploading. Oh shit, I forgot the thumbnail and I had to make something in like 2 minutes. Like,
Or I
just
mean, not only that, I mean, I you might have just said it, but what about the privacy, right? Like, isn't it on default privacy? Like, you actually have to change it also
yes,
to
yes, yeah. It
public.
is
So,
defaultly unlisted. It is unlisted, so you can set it, or do you want it to go live at a certain time, which is actually a new feature. They didn't have that even just a couple years ago. Like, it's like,
yeah,
and or yeah, all this stuff like that they could have had. Like, um,
no,
but it's
absolutely.
fun.
Right, right.
Also,
I mean,
it is. There's also weird Netflix subtitles. I like how he looks at the iPad. It says like up to loading 1%, and then it subtitles that. If you watch with the subtitles, you may not realize it. But like if you had the subtitles off, like it still subtitles that.
interesting. I did not
Yeah,
know. No, we
yeah.
watch everything with subtitles on. I should try like when I try to do like the one more watch before a recording kind of thing, maybe try that without a subtitle, so that way I force myself to look at other things because often I'm reading, you know,
Right. Mm-hmm.
just so I'm not missing any dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
Tori, yeah,
So yeah, go ahead.
yeah, okay. Tori and Sensei Kim are still at it. Sam comes to Tori's aid, and they go at it. That hair whip, I feel should have caused more damage,
More like I think like is it more or
or
less
or
like because
maybe like her reaction, like it was almost just like, yeah, I just got slapped. So what? But I feel they could have done more with that hair whip. Like it, like maybe if she just continued to hold that spot that she got hit, because that's
see
gotta sting pretty good, right?
yeah, like I noticed. Okay, actually, no, I take that. I said that wrong. I didn't notice
Okay.
it. Someone messaged me and said, "Oh my god, Sensei Kim hits Sam with her hair or whatever." And I watched it, and I think I watched it with the sound off, and I thought, no, that's not it. It was just like an awkward angle, and it's not her hair. Then rewatching it, I realized like they put almost like a whip sound,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and I'm like, really? Like, is it that painful? Like her hair, like it's supposed to be. Maybe she has something at the bottom, but like it doesn't actually look. In some shots, it doesn't look that like intimidating or something like this horrible thing. I don't know. Like it's kind of like it's like I get the idea behind it and it's cool, but like part of me is like rolling my eyes a little bit.
Well, I mean, because I like the idea of
Mm-hmm,
of it being like the tail of a snake too, like the of the worst
mm-hmm,
type. I
mm-hmm.
don't know, maybe a rattlesnake or something that yeah, you just want to avoid because it could be deadly.
That's
If
a good
she
way
gets
to
you
think
just right.
about it. The tail of a
Yeah,
snake. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Devin watching Sensei Kim fight Sam and Tori and decides at this point that maybe CK not so hot? Question mark? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll
And
continue.
I think this is the end of Devon's arc for this season, essentially.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even think she has a moment at the end. So this is essentially her arc. She steps in with Tori, that their bond, and lets Sam go back away. So yeah.
Right. Sensei Kim tried getting into her head about being the feature and the champ, and Devin tells Sam to go save her brother and that her and Tori got this.
Mhm.
Well, good luck because y'all didn't have it earlier in the season. Um, okay, let's see. Daniel, Amanda, Carmen, and Stingray arrive. I had to figure out. I was like, what the hell's a DAX? DACS. I was like, what the hell is that? Is that a autocorrect? But yeah, those four they arrive and run into Big Red and company. And I wrote down Stingray has no problems beating up kids again.
Yeah, this is
And
Pink Stingray. This is what really made me laugh. These are like some of my favorite moments of Stingray actually in the
a little
series.
levity,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
already got a death of Chosen and
Hmm.
death of Kreese at this point, you know. Inside, Anthony alerts the rest of the team they have about 5% left. The upload completes and Anthony share plays it on the screens. The scene reminds me of RoboCop a little bit. Do you remember that movie or have you seen it?
I I I mean, I know it and I saw it like a long time ago and probably like clips, but what scene are you referring to?
So
Um
it's when Clarence Boddicker, again, Clarence is probably where they got the name for the gerbil or whatever it was,
mhm.
uh, season three, and he walks into Bob Morton's home, who is an exec at OCP, and he has a disc with Dick something rather, played by Ronnie Cox. Puts the disc into the player, and he's got a message for Bobby. He says something like, I had to kill Bob Morton because he made a mistake. Now it's time to erase that mistake. So it's just, like a reveal,
Mhm.
kind of thing. So probably a reach, but that's just kind of what it reminded me of. Like, oh, here's the screens, with the kind of the reveal here.
Mhm.
Terry walks in and is befuddled that this was the plan and that it changes nothing. He's addressing Daniel, but Tori says it was their plan and that and Robbie adds this changes everything. At this point, Terry realizes he's lost his students. He recaps what happened at his home, and this is some really great delivery from Tig as well. I'm really really digging Terry in this moment for him.
Mhm.
Um, and he adds that he's the last one still standing, and the look Amanda and Carmen give each other gave me chills. Because again, headspace, what do they know? Nothing. They know Johnny's not there, Chosen's not there. And if Silver's talking about he's the last one standing, what happened to those two?
Mhm.
Um, Terry continues about how there's no morals or happy endings. Life's a competitive sport. No such thing as right and wrong, only winners and losers. Do you have anything to add to Terry's speech here?
Yeah, actually, I was realized I want to back up just a second. Did you know what the clip was going to be? Um,
No,
that they were
no,
going to
I was
show?
surprised. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
not
I
surprised,
was so
surprised. I was just like,
confused.
oh, yeah. I was just like, what can
Yeah, like
can they go
what
with?
is it? Like they deliberately held it back. And I kept thinking, what is it? What is it? Like, so yeah, that this clip, and good thing he has microphones in the dojo as well as the cameras to record the audio
Absolutely,
so
that's surround
clearly,
sound,
so
right?
clearly. Yeah.
Yes, surround sound. It
Um,
might have subtitles too. I don't know. I wasn't
mhm.
really paying that close attention. We cut to let's see. At this point, Johnny is out of whiskey and White Claw and used the power of the sonogram to take down the fist.
Mhm.
With a little help from Barnes, a TV does fall. My condolences, sir.
Yeah, gets me every time.
Yeah, and Johnny pockets a severed finger with a ring. Now, I kind of missed a detail. Does he actually take the finger too, or just takes the ring off the finger?
Well, we don't see him pawn it. It just
Okay.
we just know he has that ring. Or well, no, I take that back. Someone else we'll get to has that ring later in the show.
Yes. Yeah, because
Uh
it's one of those Mandela effects for me.
mhm.
I'm like, I thought Johnny was one that severed the finger for the longest time, but it
No,
was Min
no,
June.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Min
yeah.
June
Mhm,
accidentally does it. So
mhm.
so there's a few things that I just kind of misremembered.
Johnny did a little no B there, and he ended up hitting his
Yeah,
own guy.
there you go. He really likes that Miyagiism there.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Um Oh, did I go too far? Let's see, back
Um,
some Cuny attacking Kyler Trader.
but
Ooh,
the fight is good. The Johnny climax fight, it ends Johnny kind of kicking some ass. So definitely Johnny's big moment here for this season.
yeah, absolutely. Terry is still talking. Reminds Daniel he got his ass kicked, and round two begins.
Mm-hmm.
Terry adds that he's taking care of Chosen, and that this is where Miyagi-Do ends. And growing up with the Karate Kid, movies, and seeing how this played out, like it brought tears to my eyes. You know, um, because yeah, I like Johnny, but I didn't grow up like a Johnny guy, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of Johnny fans and whatever, whatever, but like for the Miyagi-Do fans and the Daniel fans, this is huge, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I
a
mean,
very triumphant moment, very stand up and cheer. So
absolutely very well said. Yeah, stand
yeah,
up and cheer. It really does. Like,
yeah. How do you want to describe some of the sequences here? Because obviously he uses the Quicksilver method against Terry Silver, who taught this to him 30 some odd years ago.
mm-hmm.
And then bookends, you know, uh, the crane kick, which he was mocked for in the third film.
Yeah, especially for using it in a tournament, but it's not a tournament. But I think it's actually great that we can see the crane kick in a real fight. Like, and they did a great job of like making it. It just all ties together so well. Um, you know, it Oh, it's like fan service, but it doesn't feel like it just because it works so well. Because this is what you've been waiting for, right? Like
Yeah.
5 seasons, 30 plus years. And it just like ties together. And you're right. From the third movie, the Quicksilver method, where it's going back and he wins and oh, yeah, stand up and cheer. It's just I love it. And to address a few things, like I've seen people say, "Oh, it was too quick. Oh, it was too one sided." But like I think emotionally, like at this point in this episode, we didn't need a long drawn off fight between like Daniel and Silver, where like he's winning, then Silver's winning, and it's back and forth. Like it works. So it works emotionally,
Yeah,
because
I
it's
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that because we see the like the in part three, in Karate Kid Part Three, we see the how do I want to word this? Like the mental abuse from Terry on Daniel. Then we see him physically beat him down in 505. And yeah,
Mhm.
this is just at round two where Daniel has all the confidence in the world here and is able to take down Terry. And again, for those that missed Joel's interview, he talks about Ralph. I don't remember how he explained the first attempt, but Ralph's like, let me just try again.
Mhm.
And Ralph was able to get on the second try,
Yeah,
the
and they
crane
nailed
kick.
it. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it goes back to what he said um right at the fight, the roots are strong, the tree will survive.
right. Even after them.
Right, which is why I made that the intro uh dialogue.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. I
Yeah.
haven't heard it yet, so
I
little
know, for
inside.
people who don't know, like
Right,
I was sitting here thinking, should I mention it or not? Because I know you haven't listened to it yet, but
right, right.
it is so like because this is just the climax of the episode, the season, and of the series so far. Um,
Yeah, actually that's perfect. I mean, there's so many good clips you could have gotten. So for those that don't know, little inside baseball watch party picks all of the intro clips that you guys have heard for season five, and I don't listen to it until I am in the editing process, and that's one of the last things I listen to because I want to be surprised. So and I'm totally fine with that reveal because I mean we're kind of talking about this really epic moment here.
right.
So yeah, that's actually very fitting. I like that.
Also,
Yeah.
further props to John, Josh, and Hayden. I think they knew they needed to save the crane kick for a moment like this. I mean, the crane kick from Daniel. Obviously, we had it, from
Miguel.
Miguel. Yeah, in season one, like they knew they had to address it some way, and they did that in the tournament in season one. But like
And then
they knew they had to. They knew they couldn't do this show without having Daniel do that again. But it had to be right. It just had to be
Right.
right. And you got to find the right moment. And combining it with the Quicksilver, combining it, he can't see, he can't fight. Like I'm gonna hit his eyes, his face, right, which is what Daniel does. And it works. And it's their patience that they know they don't want to throw it in episode 1 of season 1 or even season 1. They're gonna wait for the right moment. And I tell fans this, like whenever fans come to me, oh, is such and such going to happen? Like they know they have to wait for the right moment. It's got to be there. Sure, it's like you want but it's got to be right. And that's what happens. Why this was so great. I wasn't expecting it. I think most people weren't expecting it, but when it happened, it felt right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And to what to add to what you were saying, like Miguel does it in 110, and then we see Johnny tease it with Daniel in what 402 on the sparring deck, and
Mm-hmm.
just mockingly in part of a montage, and then we don't see it again until it's actually
Yeah.
executed
Also in
by the Karate Kid
202,
himself.
when they were doing the montage at the car dealership, and that one guy asked them or whatever they
Oh,
were doing.
yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The poses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah,
okay.
just great. And like I said, that's why I think best episode 10 of the series so far.
Yeah.
Because it's really leading to this moment, really, essentially.
Right.
And it's like you said, the mind war. In the end, Silver was Daniel's true nemesis. Just like the way the movies went. Kreese is kind of more tied up with Johnny. So it was like Daniel's nemesis was Silver, and he wins. The good guy wins, and it's right. It feels right. Just yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Defeated, all of Cherry's students decide to leave Cobra Kai, starting with Kenny.
Kenny first, yeah.
Yeah, and my question is, where's Homeless Lynn? There's plenty of clothes right here for her. um, and let's see, we go outside and we got one of those epic, after an action movie and everyone's wrapped up in blankets and
Mm-hmm.
giving their statements and whatnot. Kyler running his mouth as usual, saying he rescued everyone and that Cobra Kai was becoming cultish. We see
Who's a
Sting.
turncoat now? Jeez.
I don't, I don't know really. Stingray trying to clear his name. Um, Verification that the Ginger twins are indeed brothers. For those that were
Mm-hmm.
wondering,
Mm-hmm.
Robbie checks in with Kenny, and he just needs a moment to be alone. Robbie and Tori, kids, wait, kiss and make
Kiss
up.
and makeup. Yeah.
Kids. I was like, kids, what? Yeah, kiss and makeup. Miguel and Sam, making sure the other is okay. They talk it out and reveal that they love one another. And they also kiss.
Oh.
Yeah. Johnny shows up in Reggie's limo and him and Carmen embrace. And if you watch Billy's body before it cuts, it looks like he was balancing himself to get down on one knee. When
Ooh.
somebody is trying to make some space for themselves so that way they can get down,
Mm-hmm.
just look for his body to shift just ever so slightly before it cuts. I'm just saying, just go
Maybe.
back and look.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Barnes helps Chosen out of the back of the vehicle. He survived it after all. Johnny drove because he knew where the location
It
was.
was just a flesh wound.
It was just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Chosen adds that maybe he should have had a short island iced tea. Maybe he'll have a clearer mind, right?
Yeah.
So, also, I think so first off, let me preface this. I don't know my drinks. Okay. I know what a Long Island iced tea
Island.
is,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we went to Kona Kitchen for Ralph Macchio's book signing tour in Seattle, Yuji at his restaurant, they had just recently introduced, I think, the Chosen cocktail. Don't remember what was in it. It was a little strong, which is Chosen, so I get it. But I do wonder if it's got any of the ingredients of a Long Island iced tea, because I feel that's like it's teed up for you right there, right?
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
It should
Because
have
like
just called
Long
it.
Island has a lot of the different a mixture of the different alcohols, so there's a good chance at least some of it overlaps.
Yeah, it could be, and they could call it Short Island iced tea. Like it
Short,
would have been perfect. Short Island
the
iced
Short
tea,
Island chosen.
the chosen cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah, be really long. Oops, I just closed my notes. Okay, let's see. So Miguel chosen flesh wound. Ah, Daniel sees that Barnes is in a possession of a Rembrandt painting, and again, they've been setting that up. Barnes says it should be worth as much as the store. Now, you obviously know the history of this particular painting, yes?
Should I? No.
Oh, you don't know?
It was stolen. I mean, I know. Yeah, now that the history of this was stolen, I think from a museum, right? Um,
Correct. Yeah, in
yeah,
Boston. And so I was like, did Terry buy it from somebody? I don't, would he buy stolen artwork? I don't think he would, but he wouldn't steal the artwork. Like, how does he have it? Auction? He goes to auctions.
yeah.
Could you auction something like that though, stolen from a museum?
Not legitimately. Um,
Hmm. Okay.
uh, Wait, when was it stolen?
I think in the 90s.
Okay. So it was stolen after Terry Silver was clean. I don't know. They probably didn't think it through that much. Yeah, stolen. Yeah, it was stolen in 1990. Um,
There you go.
so he just has connections to the underworld, the
That's
criminal
fair.
world,
Yeah.
and sometime in during season 4, when he was going back, he went and redid some of his home and added some stolen merchandise. You know,
Right, right. Uh, so Rembrandt, Barnes says blah 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 blah. LaRusso, bro, La Russo, they bro hug as Carmen and Amanda are admiring Carmen's Manny. Silver is brought
Manny.
out in,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to add to that or any more
Well,
comments on that?
yeah, I mean that's the ring. So Carmen
That's the
has the
ring.
ring.
Yep.
Like there's no reason to pretend like it's not. Like I you interviewed Vanessa Rubio and you should have said
Yeah.
you let her get away with that. Like I would have been like, okay, so you're clearly wearing a ring there
Right, right.
and looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
it. Like it's in
yeah.
shot, it's in frame. It's not even a secret. Like it's clearly in frame. Like so
Yeah, you know
yeah.
that is a good point because
Mhm.
like you guys left it in. Like you
Mhm.
guys left it in. Why are we not talking about it? I mean, I know why you guys aren't talking about it, but why can't we have some answers? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Something I don't know. I would say so. But but we'll see. And we also know that there were at least some things shot for this episode that seemed to get cut, that were cut. Whether or not they'll be used in season 6 or not, but you know that starts with something Ralph had just mentioned, like right before after the season came out.
Yeah.
You know, he had
Probably
said
the
something.
proposal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
probably the proposal, or maybe something else in regards to like the fact that they broke in to Terry's home. They
Sure.
did break into Terry's home, but we'll see.
Silver is brought out in cuffs, and this is where our heroes also find out that Kreese died. And cut to Kreese being wheeled in on a gurney. He's definitely got some color back in his skin, so
Yeah,
probably started breathing again.
Crease's
The
corpse. Yeah,
yeah, the doctor, puzzled by the consistency of the blood, tastes it, and it is revealed to be Jello. Terminator Kreese wakes up, beats everyone up, and exits the prison in the doctor's clothes and the therapist's badge. And we got our last end snake for season 5.
I'm begging you for what
Yeah, what
mercy.
for
Oh, it
mercy?
is a good line. It is a good moment.
If I just had the know-how to replicate that Terminator like effects, through his eyes. So, when he's looking at the doctor sizing him up for his clothes, because that's what it kind of
Oh
reminded me of,
yeah.
and then when he steps out, you play bad to the bone, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah, and he's got Dr. Folsom's key pass, which
right.
everyone loves to say, like, well, how did she get out of the hospital? I don't. I was sitting there thinking maybe she didn't leave yet. Maybe she's actually still there with
Yeah,
clients. Or of
could
course,
be.
it's supposed to be 1 a.m. or something. I don't know.
Oh, right,
Um,
right, right. Yeah. At this point, yeah, you're probably 1:30, 2 a.m. Yeah.
I've also
So,
played with the idea that the timeline isn't linear, and like this crease part took place actually earlier in the evening. Um, but I don't
right,
know.
right. That would also yeah, because if just think about the crease stuff. isolate that, right?
Hmm.
And he gets shivved,
Hmm.
and they put him on a gurney. Where does that go, and how long does it stay there before that doctor shows up?
Right.
Is there no sense of urgency, because it is a doctor, he's coming to check it. If it's almost 2 a.m., what's he doing up? You know what I mean? Like they'd be
Yeah.
like, no, wait till tomorrow.
Is it medical emergency doctor, or is it he's dead and this is the corpse and what are you doing, an autopsy or something? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was probably earlier in the evening, and so when the cop, which Amy talked about, how like he's like giving us all the exposition because he just seems to know everything. He's
Mhm.
probably, yeah, retelling like what happened earlier in the evening, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't happening now, and he just heard it over the radio, right?
Yeah.
Because that would make zero sense.
Mhm.
So yeah, that
And
definitely makes no
but
sense.
it's a good, like when I was talking earlier where things click in place for you. Like this is the same thing. Like I didn't think Kreese died, but like I didn't have time. It happened so fast, you didn't have time to think about it. I didn't know what happened. I just didn't think he died. And then like this whole, oh, he faked his death thing, like it was another great moment of like everything, the puzzle piece coming into place. It's like clicks for you. I really love that conclusion because I didn't expect it.
Right, right. And I know a lot of people, and this, did you mention it at the top? Yeah, yeah. It was when I asked for your first initial impressions or whatever. And you had mentioned like a lot of people also thought that this could have been like the series finale, which
Mhm.
I could totally see that a lot of
Yeah,
things wrapped up.
that
But I was
yeah,
just
that
like,
ending moment. It's all wrapped up, and I even mentioned in last episode how like we were wrapping up Louis and Anoush's stuff, and like
yeah,
even like the smaller side characters were getting kind of closure. um,
yeah, absolutely. So
mhm.
like for me, like, and this was even before, wasn't it Hayden in one of your live streams? He said that was not the end.
um, he may have. I don't remember if he
Okay.
said that specifically, but
Yeah, I feel like it was like not that long after season 5 had dropped,
mhm.
but I was telling people, I go, you guys, they are big Terry Silver fans. There's no way they're gonna. That's not his end. There's no way they're gonna end the show with that for Terry Silver.
Yeah, it feels like there's going to be more Terry Silver, just not right away. In fact, I think Hayden or John or one of them alluded to that, like in the in like a Q&A. He's like, he's got good lawyers, but Stingray's testimony here is kind of like sketchy. Like when you completely change what you said earlier, it's going to be sketchy, from like a legal perspective, but it may not clear out for Silver right away. So yeah, I think there's more for Silver down the line.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, we've already been, or season 6 has already been announced. So, oh man, what a great season.
Yeah, really great. I loved it. I think it ends super strong. The episode 9-10 combination. It's probably, like I said, this is the best episode 10. I also think it's like maybe the best 9-10 together. Just because leading to that fight with Daniel and Terry Silver, and then with the little denouement at the end after the thing, and then the little twist. Hey, Kreese faked his death.
Yeah,
It's just great.
actually,
Yeah.
what I kind of said about this being like a 1 hour, with commercials, a 1 hour TV movie. No, I think you just said it right there. Nine and 10 together, because it goes together. Like, when they go clubbing, and like
Mhm.
all of that leading into episode 10. I think, yeah, 9 and 10 is a perfect 1-2 punch. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Has fan service that you don't even realize is fan service. And that's where it's so good. We didn't even like mention, and I was thinking about this, and then when Johnny Chosen and Mike Barnes take off to the three consequences, take off to Terry Silver's, it's like you have the three villains of the movies now all working together against the
What
super villain
yeah,
Terry
yeah.
Silver. Like it's like people talk about this in other shows and movies, other franchises, like, oh, it's just fan service or something. Like in here, you get it, but you don't even realize it. As you're watching it, you're just so engrossed in what's happening at the moment. Like you aren't thinking like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. Like this is such a cool moment because it's done so well, and I
Yeah.
like that. Like I just like you just respect it.
Yeah. Respect. That's all you can do.
Mhm. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and watch it several times. You can do that
Yes.
too.
Yes. On repeat.
Mhm.
All right. And on to the feedback in the Facebook group. I want to thank everyone again for leaving all your guys' comments, questions, and feedback in the group page. This is the last one for season 5, and we will start off with Ron Y. He says, I'm sure plenty of people have said this and or you have already said it on the podcast, but this episode really seemed like a series finale more than a season finale. Even so, I look forward to season 6. And he actually adds, also, who knew that Mike Barnes teaming up with Chosen and Johnny to fight Silver was the badass match of the century I never knew I always wanted. This episode was awesome. Yep, I agree with all of that as well. So many team ups that we didn't expect, right? I mean, I think a lot of us before the season also kind of speculated, oh, what about Mike Barnes versus Johnny? So we didn't
Mhm.
necessarily get that, but we got our kerfuffle. Is that the right word? A bit of an
Yeah, like
altercation.
a little bit of a like a back and forth almost. Yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah, in
Mhm.
the beginning of this episode, but that
Right.
was pretty much it. I don't know if I need them to fight. Like if Mike Barnes were to show up in season 6, like he seems to be a nice guy now. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that the team up worked better than
I think
that.
so. Yeah. So people grow up, and Mike Barnes was a teenager at the time. So
Mhm.
the next one comes from Philomena. She says it's easily my favorite of the finals. Chaotic, nail biting, white knuckled, fist pumping, edge of your seat action. I was off my seat the whole time, and I spent half of the time thinking Chosen died, which was stressful as heck.
Yeah.
We had a yes, it was. And I mean, you guys, I didn't want it, right? And I've been speculating that he might, and
Mhm.
so it was nerve-wracking for me too.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Mhm.
She continues, we had a Karate Kid fans dream of Daniel, Chosen, Mike, and Johnny in the same scene. Can we just expel the myth Daniel's second fight versus Terry was easy for him, please? I mean, it's so easy to face the one person who is the cause of all your trauma,
Mhm.
and who almost successfully in destroying you the second time around again and again, using the Quicksilver method against Silver with the grain kick as rule number 3 was gloriously poetically satisfying on all levels. Nothing hits harder than a comeback, and by did this one, and by maybe she means boy, and boy did this one hit hard. Could be.
Yeah, that sounds right. I like that phrase. Nothing hits harder than a comeback.
Yeah, I really like that too, actually. Let's see, Jose's. I mentioned him earlier during our kind of updates here. He
Mhm.
adds, let's put it out there. Just how screwed is Mitch going to be now that he has zero friends? He is now in the fool me twice zone and burned any chance at earning trust. So what do you think about that?
Um,
You think he's got no friends? You don't think they'll
I think Chris may give him shit, but welcome him back. And and I was even saying earlier today on a live stream that I think it depends on who he kind of goes towards, because Daniel's second chances, third chances kind of guy. So Daniel will tell people to bring him back in. I think Johnny can give him hell. Give him a little shit, sort of like he did with Hawk at the beginning of season 4. He's got to earn his trust back.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, this
Mhm.
this is a really good group of kids who are kind of
Mhm.
going towards their adulthood, and so I think one of those steps is kind of forgiving. If
Mhm.
if they want to mature, but I get it, but we'll see. I feel like I had mentioned earlier. I feel this is not like a top priority in things that need to be addressed in season 6, but I can't see it go unanswered in season 6.
Exactly.
The next one comes from JS. He says the fight scene between Chosen and Terry was pretty badass. Wish Chosen would inflicted more wounds on him though. Johnny sure can take a lot of punishment, like a lot. But how the hell did Mike Barnes knock that last guy out with a somersault move? I wonder how Mitch feels betraying his friends to rejoin Cobra Kai only to quit again. Tonight we cut head off Snake. Drunken laugh. Classic Chosen. Sam and Miguel profess their love for each other. About time. Smiley face.
Mhm.
Um, Absolute favorite parts of the episode is the Miguel and Robbie scenes. When Miguel step in between Kenny and Robbie, and when Miguel backs up Robbie while he's getting whooped on, just goes to show you the bond they're starting to have as brothers. Tori and Sam teaming up was cool too, but still too new. I mean, they just became friendly at the end of last episode. My question is for you, Peter, and Watch Party is, do you plan on doing a prediction episode for season 6 with feedback like this? And yeah, I think we will.
Yeah, yeah. Why wouldn't we? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have a little time, and I definitely think we can have some predictions.
Absolutely. There's definitely going to be a lull between this last season and the next. And
Mhm.
so I will probably even put it out there. I feel we can probably have one sooner than later now that we're done with season 5. And then maybe we can do like another one slash prop bets maybe, or maybe keep them separate leading up to season 6 like we've done previously.
Yeah, it's been, yeah, yeah. Prop bets. It's just,
We still need to do that for season
I
5. I
know.
know.
I just remembered. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah. I think Ken mentioned it, not on today's live stream, but maybe his last one. He brought that up again that we need to get together.
Mhm.
So thanks for that, Jay. The next one comes from Dorian. He's got a lot of points here. Johnny protecting Daniel with Mike, oh, from Mike by throwing an empty banquet can at his head, priceless. Mike's voice when he says, "My wife," sounds ominous. Please let Mrs. Barnes be okay, which I think she is.
Yeah, I think she's okay. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think she just left him. Just left him. Um, Great direction having all three of Daniel's ex-rivals surrounding him. Stingray pulling a Miyagi beating up the Cobras was genius. Stingray pulling a Miyagi beating up.
I think he's me like the way Miyagi beat up Johnny and Bobby and them in the movie. Like
Ah,
jumping
okay.
down and beating. I think that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, and how Stingray climbs upwards. Is that the
Yeah,
scene you're
kind of
thinking?
like
Okay,
almost like a reverse Miyagi. Instead of jumping down, he's like
got it, got
he's
it.
in his thing. And,
Silver versus Chosen was so brilliantly choreographed. This was the closest we'll get to Master Kim versus Sato. I say Sato
Mhm.
because he was Chosen's master. Mr. Miyagi's prophecy of Anthony protecting the family paid off. If it wasn't for his tech skills, the bribery wouldn't have been brought to light. Eli has come full circle with his identity. There's no Hawk, only Eli. Daniel versus Silver was the perfect final fight, done with the mix of 80s flashback style and fight scene. Daniel's using Quicksilver is genius because he used Cobra Kai, the arm lock Silver used on him, plus the leg sweep. Eagle Fang, the Eagle Strike, and Miyagi Do, the Crane. Before I continue, do you want to comment on any of these points that he's been making?
Well, I was thinking, I kind of go with what Jacob says, where he feels like Eli and Hawk are the same person. So I wouldn't say it's not like no Hawk, only Eli. I just think like they've merged in a way where he's very confident in himself.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so he says, continues Sensei Kim's face when Silver is losing to Daniel is hilarious. She's thinking, why did I fall for this guy's crap? Johnny has been given his own airborne theme, the band that wrote and performed back in the game. Daniel got Breaking Out of Hell. Johnny got Running Wild. Badass. Long live Aussie Rock. Which, for those that are maybe newer listeners and aren't familiar with Dorian, he's from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
We finally got a La Russo hug, a bro hug. Yeah, but I'll take it. I
Mm-hmm.
agree with that. And the crease escape is the perfect twist. All in all, perfect cliffhanger. So yeah, thanks Dorian for all of those.
Yeah,
A lot of
totally
great
agree.
points.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
hmm The next one comes from Randy C. He says, I said it at the first time it aired, and I'll say it again. If the show creators intended the season 5 finale to wrap up the entire saga, it would have been a wonderful ending. Most of the major character conflicts were resolved, and better yet, the entire Karate Kid Cobra Kai saga would effectively be bookended with a crane kick. Good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now that we know that there will be a season six, here are the crucial questions with a wink. Question number one, did a talk screen at the time of his arrest show trace amounts of cocaine in Silver's system? Number two, will we see a conflict-free double date with Miguel, Samantha, and Robbie Torrey? That's a good question.
Conflict free. Come on.
Conflict-free, yeah,
In this
right.
show.
This the Miyagi-verse? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Um, Question number three, how does Julie Pierce figure into the story? We can answer that in a little bit here. And the last one, number five, will Stingray return the Cobra Mobile to Johnny, or is Johnny now at a stage that the Eagle van actually fits him better? In parentheses, given his impending baby, I do hope he at least upgrades to something with better child safety features than his '93 Dodge van. Great points and great
Yeah.
questions as well. What do you think about the silver beyond cocaine? Do you think
I didn't. Funny, I didn't even think of that, even though I speculated that back after season four. But I don't know. I'm just gonna say no, just because I don't know if it'll come up or to what extent. Um, but it is fun to think about and imagine. Maybe they didn't run the talks, on him. So the talks report. So
yeah, I've kind of been saying this a few different places, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they start off with episode one because for some reason I feel that the cops that apprehended him were probably in his pocket. That's
mhm.
just my thinking. I hope that I'm wrong. The conflict-free double date again, Miyagi verse. There's not going to be any.
They may
You know
try.
what?
They may try. You
They
know.
may try, but who knows? Maybe it's the last season. It's just like maybe we'll just get it.
Mhm.
Could. How does Julie Pierce figure into the story? Well, a lot of people have been saying, if the senseis are involved in the tournament, she can face off with Sensei Kim. She is a Miyagi-Do student, so a lot of us have always said that, or kind of agree that Julie and Daniel must have met before. Um, was it? And I think you, Watch Party, mentioned it in your live stream to kind of open up. In the beginning, you mentioned how Daniel, in season two, mentions that there used to be, or that there had been some time
More than
since
one
more
student,
than one.
yeah,
There we go.
at this dojo, right?
So that's how she'll probably play in,
Mhm.
small or little. We don't know. I mean, look how much of an impact Jessica Andrews made in season five, just with one episode.
One episode, yeah,
That's
and
it.
it
So
was
you
like
never know.
really defining. Great appearance, by the way.
Absolutely. A huge surprise to everybody. I think a lot of people figured she might show up, but we were definitely like, we don't know how the hell it's going to work. Um, the Cobra Mobile. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think
I
Johnny
love
will
that
want it back?
car. Although it is interesting because I get man, I guess it's Stingrays now. Like I don't see Johnny wanting it back. I don't see Stingray giving it away. At least not right now. I don't know. Like um, so I guess the Cobra Mobile stays with Stingray. I don't know, unless like he gifts it to Johnny or something. But yeah, I don't know. Because I always imagined like this is you could get this into a season six prediction. Like I always imagined Johnny's got the Cobra Mobile. Uh, Daniel has his car, the Ford, the banana boat, and so they're driving down the road side by side. It could be this like great montage of like the end for both of them and their respective cars, their classic cars or something. And so I always kind of thought it would end up back in Johnny, but where the season five ended at the moment, I don't see how they get there. That's not to say it's not possible. Um, maybe if Stingray doesn't want anything to do with Cobra Kai anymore, I guess he could give it away. So, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there.
I like that. And you have mentioned this before about, I believe this is before season four, the fact that TV3, they love Stingray, right? If
Mm-hmm.
they can find a way to put him in, they'll probably put him in.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, we don't know if Stingray will return in season six, but let's just say he does. And let's say that, one of the last two episodes is the wedding. Maybe Stingray tries to hand him the keys back and says, "Hey,
As a
it's
wedding gift. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
yeah, it's a wedding gift. It's originally yours anyway." And then Johnny, looks at the car. He's like, "Hey, you know what? It's yours now." Hands the key back. As don't worry about it. It's yours. Do what you want. And I don't know. Maybe did they upgrade, yeah, to something more family friendly. But it could be badass to picture Johnny taking the car back and him and Carmen, speeding off in that Cobra mobile too. Because if the baby is there, I'm sure the brothers, can take care of the baby kind of thing. So a few different ways they can do it
Mm.
if they want to introduce that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a lot of great images, and I like the idea of it as like a wedding gift or something
Right,
like that.
right. Let's see. So thank you, Randy, for some of those questions. Next one comes from Emily. She says, just a completely random and weird piece of trivia. The painting that Barnes swiped from Terry's house is the Storm on the Sea of Galilee? Galilee. That sounds right, right? I feel it was longer than that. Galilee, painted in 1633 by Rembrandt. The painting was part of the permanent collection of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston until it was among 13 works of art stolen from the museum on March 18th, 1990. The stolen paintings have never been recovered. March 18th is also notable for being Thomas Ian Griffith's birthday, and the dividing lines between Miyagi verse actors and their characters continue to grow vanishingly thin.
Yeah, it's Storm on the Sea of Galilee is how it's pronounced.
Okay. Thank you for that. And she also included a link to that for those that want to check it out. And let's see here. The next one comes from Anne. She has a lot to say, as you'd imagine. A lot, a lot. Okay, so here we go. I love the parallel callback of Mike's introduction. Bad boy of karate, scoff. He doesn't look so bad to me.
Yeah, I love that
Um,
too.
yeah, it's yeah, good callback. Episode 3, when Chosen does it. Um, everyone's drunk acting was great, but there's a moment where Ralph's drunk face while he's trying to listen to Mike. That is hilarious. Who could have predicted back in season 1 that Daniel would not only share the screen with his arch teen bullies, but have them all on the same side? Wild.
Hmm.
I don't think so. I don't think any of us could have
No,
guessed that.
never would
Yeah.
have.
Johnny's "Get your damn hands off him," followed by Coors Banquet tossed to the head, is almost as glorious as him slapping Daniel's butt as he drunkenly staggers back into the limo. Um, this is a great scene, one of the
Hmm.
best. Mike and Johnny trying to kick in the door to Silver's house. Thank God for Chosen. Yeah.
Hmm.
Amanda's nickname for Daniel on her phone is Hubby-san, because of course it is. When she tells Daniel it's Cobra Kai that came to the house, I was genuinely scared. So was I.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
I'm sure Peter will mention the Back to the Future homage when Daniel approaches the truckers to score when the mobile comes around the corner. Even sounds like Alan Silvestri. It does. And yes, I did. And there's a few sequences that I pointed out as well. And maybe, since I already kind of brought them up during the review, I might as well make the announcement. But I plan on making yeah, maybe like a short, for YouTube. I want to try doing one of those, and that way I can also make it a reel on Instagram. But I want to kind of put some scenes that parallel episode 10, 510, with some sequences from Back to the Future. Um, because after speaking with Joel, which I've been pimping out all episode, uh, him mentioning that, yeah, Back to the Future was definitely one of the references that they used for some of the framing and whatnot in this episode. So again, go check it out.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. She continues, "Come with me if you want to live" was great. I really enjoyed Stingray this season. So did I.
Yeah, I
Um,
will did.
yeah, yeah. Mike was pretty useless in that fight, wasn't he? If I recall correctly, Robin's interview with Bob Dearden revealed it was because ultimately it was Johnny's fight. Now, I didn't listen to that one for the obvious because we were still kind of working through the reviews, but you did, didn't you?
I know. I think that one I only listened to the end of it.
Oh, okay.
Where he gave away like the thing. Yeah, I didn't listen to the whole thing. So because I skipped to the end where they were talking about season 6.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Bob, but since they're getting close to season six, it may be a no. But in the event he does say yes, I'm going to hold off on that interview. But that's usually why I don't listen to those yet until I've interviewed the person myself.
Mhm.
So let's see. The fight between Chosen and Terry was bananas. I really thought Chosen was done for there. I think we all did. I mean, even Terry goes inside and says that what do you say? He's finished or whatever. Go clean up outside or whatever the line was.
Right.
Um, when Terry was pontificating to Daniel as Johnny was getting the crap beat out of him, I really thought they were going to go super dark and kill Johnny too. I was like, what the hell is happening right now?
Jeez.
I in my mind, I've always been like Johnny and Miguel were off limits to me just because they were the main ones since season one. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I felt like they were the safest of the entire cast.
Yeah. And they're executive producers too, by the way. So like,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
guess. See, the fight between Daniel and Terry was so tense. Daniel using the Quicksilver method for defense to employ the crane kick that Silver mocked all those years ago was poetic
Mhm.
justice. It's just a shame that the rest of the party limo posse wasn't there to witness it. I loved Amanda's face, though. At least the kids were there to see Miyagi-Do works, economical, just a few moves and efficient. Love seeing Anthony with Eli and Dimitri at the end. Uh, ch- hmm, maybe the binary brothers expand. Who knows? Let's see. So Anthony, Eli, okay. Chosen, it's just a flesh wound. Daniel, yeah, but it's like all your flesh. So relieved that Chosen made it out okay. Me too.
Yeah.
La Russo hug was pittance, bro hug, as Dorian said, but I'll take it for now. Really thought Kreese had died at the beginning. He was pale and everything. Can't believe that doctor tasted the blood like Walter Bishop Fringe. Oh, well, yeah, Fringe. Um, I didn't watch a lot of that show, but at least the first season. Um, I believed it. I thought he died as well. So
I
I
didn't.
mentioned.
Yeah. But as I said, um, so it was something like I wasn't sure what was going on, but I didn't think he was dead.
I think just to kind of repeat myself again, I was just shocked and maybe wasn't processing it quick enough, and kind of forgot. And then when it came back, there you go.
Yeah, and like I said, that because it was so fast, like that's how like I knew it wasn't like that was the point for me. Like,
It's kind of funny how that
yeah,
worked out, for
yeah, hmm
different people.
hmm
She continues, if I were nitpicking, Kreese didn't need to swipe the therapist's card. How did she not realize it was missing if she needs it to get in and out of places? Hashtag Miyagiverse. We had lots of questions.
hmm
Um, and her last comment, as others have already mentioned, this did feel like a series finale, but I'm so glad it wasn't, and I'm looking forward to season six, as
right.
as we all are,
That's what we
absolutely.
are.
Yeah, and again, I agree with everyone, but just the fact that at some point they said they had outlines for six seasons, I knew we had at least one more. So.
Yeah, yeah. They did always say we hope for at least six, so that was always the number. Mhm.
And the last one comes from David M. He says, this episode definitely had my favorite fight scene with Chosen versus Terry Silver. I was getting serious. I was getting serious old school samurai movie vibes. But one thing I always wondered was what would happen to Terry if he did murder Chosen? I mean, I know he's got the DA in his pocket, but that can only take you so far. Also, I'm surprised the karate limo posse got off scot-free with breaking and entering into a dude's house, beating up Terry and his house guest, and stealing a painting. I was almost expecting the happy ending to get cut short when everyone gets handcuffs slapped on them. Anyway, great episode, and thanks for the episode review, guys. Thank you, David, for your feedback. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
thank you.
I don't know. There's a lot of like, well, this happened, but then this happened as well.
Right.
So like Terry Silver's attempted murder. I mean, that has to like supersede. Yeah, even though he trespassed, but like you tried. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
and
Yeah.
what's
It's
part of what you
it's
say about cops in this universe?
they only exist when needed, and usually it's just as a reference to say they're not doing anything. So
See, so so there we go. I mean, for all the chaos that happened that night, do you think they had enough law enforcement there on site at the end there?
Um, yeah, that was I think that was the most we've ever seen.
Definitely.
So yeah, like in fact, it was probably more than the entire series, including the movies combined before that. So
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
that last scene. So I do tend to think it's possible um, they may get arrested or something like that could still happen. Um, we even know that Ralph had mentioned, they shot stuff that wasn't used seemingly at the end. And John even confirmed that there was stuff that they shot. It was for this episode, but they decided to cut it and they may use it in season 6. So I thought something like that could be it, like them getting arrested. I don't know. That's just speculation. It could also be the proposal, which we talked about. So
Absolutely. So, and there's things that they probably wrote that they just decided not to film as well, not necessarily just cutting it, but not filming it entirely and just saving it for season 6. So, kind of like what was it, the end of the first Karate Kid movie, right? We understand how, oh yeah, it was supposed to really end like in the parking lot with what we saw in the beginning of part 2, but it's not like they filmed that and then saved that and then added it to part 2. They had that written, but then it was filmed when they started production on Karate Kid 2. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to thank everybody for all your guys' feedback and your guys' continued support and following us for reviewing season 5. But also, Watch Party, I want to thank you for joining me for season 5 and reviewing this and putting up with my crazy schedule and all that. So thank you so much.
Peter, you're welcome. I didn't expect this actually. Like, when Brianna previously stepped down and then you asked me, and I was like, wow, that's actually kind of a really big honor. So, thank you. I want to thank you for giving me that this opportunity. And you have personally built such a great community, and I want to say thank you to all the listeners and to everyone in the community. The Facebook group, even though I'm not on that, I know it's part of this community and everything, and on Twitter. So thank you everyone for having me essentially, and I hope I've been able to share some fun and some insights, and make this podcast just enjoyable for your listen for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the kind words there. I believe, I mean, we got a lot of love when we first started this too. So,
Mhm.
we do know a lot of people enjoy hearing us together. So, we won't say anything now just because, season 6, a lot can happen in between then
Mhm.
and now. Life gets in the way, but so we'll discuss it when the time comes. But in the meantime, we definitely have a lot of ideas for podcast episodes, and we plan on banking some of those episodes, which is um, essentially it means that we're going to record and just kind of hold on to some episodes. That way, we can try to release them maybe not in a timely manner, but the idea is at least once a week. And that's kind of what we were hoping to with our episode reviews as well. But my situation at my work changed, and that kind of threw a wrench in everything. But we have a lot of fun ideas, a lot of top 5 episode ideas, but also a lot of what was the other one?
You were going to go back through the series, like
Yes,
likes and dislikes.
that's right. So the Cobra guys are our friends, Mikey and Jeremy. They've been revisiting Cobra Kai, but putting their I know they were doing like live commentary, and then I think they went back and
They're
replayed
doing
the
their
games.
games. Yeah,
That's
their
right.
games. Mhm.
So they were doing that, and so just to be a little different, but with Watch Party here, he wasn't here with me for seasons 1 through 4. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of go back and we'll figure out the logistics later. But the idea is not necessarily a review like what we've been doing, but we will go through each episode and we'll do like a 5 up, 5 down, 5 things we like, or 5 positives, and 5 things we don't like, or just 5 negatives. And we may not even fill up all 5 each time, but it's just a way to kind of go back and just kind of go through them together, and
Mhm.
just something different. So we'll see how that goes, and maybe you guys will have fun and send in some feedback as well. So, Watch Party, you got anything on the docket for yourself? Any videos you're working on?
I am working on, let's see, some more season six theories that I'll finish when I'm back home. So I do want to get back to some season six theories and maybe produce more broader content outside of Cobra Kai, but without I'm definitely not going to leave the core constituency behind. So definitely some season six theories will be on the way.
All right. And where can people find you if they don't already follow you on social media?
Follow me, guys. Come on.
Yeah, really.
YouTube, the Watch Party YouTube channel, easy to find. Hopefully, you find me there. I'm on Twitter at Watch Party One, and same Watch Party One on Instagram as well.
All right. Again, the new website is companionnetwork.com. I do plan on keeping Cobra Kai Pod on Twitter, but I will probably update the name to reflect something like Companion Network, but I'll figure all that out later. And on Instagram, that will continue Cobra Kai Companion. I have a backup on Instagram that I may turn into Companion Network. So, but I'm on Twitter, Cobra Kai Companion. That won't change. And so follow me there if you guys don't already. Again, this feed, sometime after this specific episode, in between now and maybe not the next episode, but as we start to do more fun episodes, just to kind of fill in the lull here. At that point, I will be probably updating the cover art that you guys are subscribed to, and the name will change from Cobra Kai Companion to Companion Network. So just kind of keep an eye out for that, and I'll share any new artwork on social media as I have them made. So thanks again to Watch Party. Thank you guys for your guys' continued support, and until the next episode, sayonara, Sensei. This is part of the Companion Network.